Welcome to the complete World of Warcraft The War Within story summary, including every cutscene, all of the character dialogue, and every single twist and turn, all in one video. The year is 32 on the World of Warcraft timeline. The Dark Titan Sargeras has just struck Azeroth, driving his sword into the planet, hoping to destroy its world soul. In the aftermath, Magni Bronzebeard became the speaker for Azeroth, answering her cries and calling on the champions of the world to defend her. This then led to the conflict against the old god N'Zoth. It was during that war that a sentient, void entity known as Xal'atath was freed from imprisonment within a blade and then possessed the body of a fallen elf. When the old god was then later defeated, Xal'atath disappeared into the shadows. A few years after, the sky itself was torn open, revealing the Shadowlands. It was there that Anduin Wrynn, the king of the Alliance, was captured and broken by the jailer, forced to commit terrible acts against his will. Though he was eventually freed, Anduin returned to Azeroth, deeply changed, and soon vanished from the public eye. In the wake of the Shadowlands, attention then turned to the Dragon Isles. It was there that the primal incarnate Iridikron escaped his prison and began plotting revenge against the Titans. As part of that grand plan, he claimed an ancient and powerful artifact known as the Dark Heart. Not long after that, in the 42nd year, several figures across Azeroth began experiencing something new: the Radiant Song. Visions described as a voice calling out from the heart of the world. Thrall was the first to hear it, leading him to Silithus, where he found the missing Anduin Wrynn, who had also been hearing the same call. Others then soon followed. Khadgar experienced the song, and also Alleria Windrunner, but bound to the void she suffered far more intense visions tied directly to Xal'atath herself. She was then sent to investigate the Dark Heart and its whereabouts. Although she was unable to locate Xal'atath or the artifact, Alleria received a final warning from her mentor, Locust Walker. This radiant song that she had been hearing was the same call that Locust Walker's people heard before their world of Koresh was consumed by the Void Lord, Dimensius. This is where the story for the War Within begins. The champions are sent to meet the leaders of Azeroth, Thrall, Jaina, and Anduin in Silithus, where they venture deep into the Chamber of Heart, an ancient Titan vault hidden beneath the sands. Their purpose is to meet with Magni Bronzebeard, the speaker of Azeroth. After a period of silence between the planet and Magni, they finally convince him to attempt speaking to Azeroth once again. Magni's connection is successful, and Azeroth calls out to him, directing their attention to a mysterious new location. However, just before the details of this new place are revealed, Magni collapses, gravely injured. The group rushes Magni back to Dalaran, where they inform Khadgar and the Thorasans of the situation. After some time, Magni awakens from his ordeal, shaken by a vision of destruction involving a lost land called Kaz Algar, a forgotten Titan installation that's been previously mentioned in the ancient records of Uldaman. With this revelation, the council convenes and decides to lead all of Dalaran's forces to Kaz Algar, believing it to be the next step in their fight for Azeroth. The city of Dalaran and its people soon begin its preparations to move the entire city to this mysterious new land. And when everything's ready, they make the journey. Upon arriving in Kaz Algar, Alleria immediately senses something is amiss. Her suspicions are confirmed when Xal'atath reveals herself, having disguised herself as Archmage Drendon all along. Without hesitation, Xal'atath summons a devastating Nerubian invasion that engulfs the streets of Dalaran in chaos. Amidst the destruction, Alleria, Anduin, Khadgar, and the champions manage to save many of the city's survivors, fleeing to the Isle of Dorn below. Khadgar and Alleria stay behind to confront Xal'atath in Dalaran, but they are quickly overwhelmed by her power. In a last-ditch effort, Khadgar portals Alleria to safety on the island below, while Xal'atath, using her Dark Heart relic, consumes Khadgar and the entirety of Dalaran.
Khadgar, we meet at last.
Xal'atath, I presume.
This city is home to such power, all squandered by the Kirin Tor. I'll put it to much better use.
Like hell you will.
There you are.
Illyria!
Get out of my head! Khadgar!
This isn't the real fight.
No! Goodbye, Guardian.
On the Isle of Dorn, the champions and survivors are met with a fierce onslaught of Nerubians as they crash land on the western shores. Just when the battle seems hopeless, Baelgrim and the Stormriders, a group of Earthen sworn to protect the Isle, arrive and join the fight. Together, they manage to drive back the leader of the Nerubian invasion, Queensguard Xerix, and the Nerubian forces back into their underground layers. With the immediate threat neutralized, Baelgrim, puzzled by Magni's stoneform, tasks the champions with a new mission. They are sent to the Isle's capital, Dornogol, to uncover more about Khaz'algar and the mysteries that await. Upon arriving in Dornogol, the champions are immediately confronted with a Nerubian assault overrunning the city. Together with the Stormriders, they launch a bombardment mission to clear out the Nerubian forces that had attacked and damaged the Coreway, an ancient passage leading directly to the underground regions of Khaz'algar. After a fierce battle, the Nerubians retreat back into the depths, and peace is temporarily restored to the streets of Dornogol. With the city secured, Jaina and Thrall set out to rally the forces of the Horde and the Alliance from the other parts of the world, while Ilaria embarks on her hunt for Xal'atath. As the champions help restore order and clean up the remnants of the Nerubian invasion, they discover a memory gem containing ancient Earthen memories, directives, and a hard-coded version of the edicts. The edicts are lifelong orders issued to the Earthen. They learn that by using the archive, these memories can be catalogued and accessed through a prismatic codex, though only 1 or 2 memories per gem. However, the archive has been inaccessible for thousands of years, its last recorded use being 5,000 years ago. Dornogol, predating even the Sundering, had its machinery damaged during that catastrophic event, leaving the Earthen unable to recharge their systems. This poses a significant threat to their survival. To restore access to the depths of Khaz'algar, the champions are tasked with locating Edelgard, an essential figure needed to repair the damaged Coreway, which will allow the Horde and the Alliance forces to enter the underground. Moira and the champions travel to a small village where Baelgrim informs them of the Coreway's severe damage that was caused by the Nerubians. Meanwhile, Bran and the champions venture into the Earthcrawl mines to fend off the Nerubian forces and rescue local miners. With the mines secured, they head to the Ore Crag, where they must defeat invading elementals and collect glittering ore, a vital resource needed to stabilize the Coreway. With the quarry secure, a supply line is then established straight to Dornogol. However, more Nerubians are soon spotted heading toward the Proscenium. The champions rush to defend it, and during the battle, they encounter Ilaria Windrunner once again. Queensguard Xerix taunts Ilaria, warning her that without the Coreway, they will never reach Xal'atath. With Edelgard safely returned to Dornogol and the council reunited, repairs on the Coreway finally begin, bringing them one step closer to their goal of reaching the depths of Khaz'algar. With the Unbound Earthen working to repair the Coreway, the champions and Baelgrim head to the Storm Perch to protect the workers there. Together, they fly to the Rookery to establish a defensive perimeter around Dornogol. However, they discover that the Storm Perch has been breached and the Stormriders have been corrupted by forces of the Void. Once the champions clear the Storm Perch of corruption, they return to Dornogol. but the city remains vulnerable without the protection of the Stormriders. Meanwhile, Xerxes and the Nerubians launch an attack on the Cinderbrew Meadery. Following this, the plan is to allow the Nerubians to take the Meadery, then ignite it to wipe out their forces. The champions are sent to evacuate the Meadery and prepare it for the assault. Ilaria and the champions use a keg to disturb a Nerubian burrow nearby, luring the enemy out for battle. In an epic confrontation, Baelgrim makes the ultimate sacrifice, launching a final attack on Xerxes and his forces by igniting the kegs at the Meadery. The explosion wipes out Xerxes and the remaining Nerubians on the Isle of Dorn, but at the cost of the life of Dornagol's protector, Baelgrim.
Glory to the Titans! Long live the Earthen!
The champions return to Dornagol to report the defeat of the Nerubians to Merryx. At the same time, the Unbound Earthen complete the repairs on the coreway, clearing the last remnants of the rubble and making the passageway fully operational once again. Ilaria returns to Dornagol, where Anduin informs her that the Earthen may not be the only allies waiting within the depths of Khazalgar. He reveals the existence of the Arathi, a group of humans who have established settlements within the island's caverns. With the coreway now operational, it can be used to descend into the depths of Khazalgar, and the champions follow Brinth into the coreway, heading down into the mysterious Ringing Deeps. Their first stop is the Iron Hall station, which has been completely overrun, with several machines now malfunctioning. After restoring order to the station, Brinth and the champions meet with the High Speaker to discuss the growing Nerubian invasion. However, the High Speaker dismisses the concerns of the Outlanders and shows very little interest in the Nerubian threat, more concerned with the Awakening Machine.
I have been busy addressing our greatest problem, the Awakening Machine. What distractions have you brought before me this time, Prince?
These Outlanders crashed on our shores.
I have no time for your misadventures.
High Speaker, the Nerubians.
Enough! Outlanders, you may wander where you will, but when you are done, return from whence you came. The High Speaker has spoken!
Though, despite this, he grants them access to the Ringing Deeps. In the nearby city of Gundagaz, Speaker Brinth expresses her concerns that the High Speaker is too distracted to properly address the looming Nerubian threat. She believes that if the other dangers plaguing the region are dealt with, then they could convince the High Speaker to unite in the fight against the Nerubians. It is soon revealed that the Ringing Deeps is under constant threat from kobold raids. The champions are tasked with entering the Lost Mines to disrupt the operations of the Candle King and his kobold forces. During their mission, they encounter Skitter, a friendly kobold who attempts to convince his people to side with the Earthen instead of fighting against them. The champions are sent into the Warrens to free law-abiding kobolds and eliminate the kobold bullies loyal to the Candle King. Disguised as kobolds, the champions infiltrate the Dark Flame Cleft, where they face and defeat Waximus and shortly thereafter Drip-Ear the Waxy. They recover the Candle Crown from the Dark Flame Cleft, significantly weakening the Candle King's influence and forces. While the Candle King's forces continue to cause trouble in certain areas of the Ringing Deeps, a large portion of the kobold decide to ally with the Earthen. They travel to Gundagaz to join forces with the Earthen in the war against the Nerubians. When the group returns to Gundagaz, they find that the High Speaker has arrived to commune with his people. While the Machine Speakers express concern about the Nerubian invasion, the High Speaker once again dismisses the issue, ordering them to return to their posts. Brinth, concerned about the situation, sends the champions to the mining town of Taeloch, where shipments have gone unaccounted for weeks. Despite the High Speaker's discouragement of anyone travelling there, the champions head to investigate. Upon arriving in Taeloch, they encounter an Earthen in the process of shutting down, who warns them of trouble inside the town. As the champions venture further into the boarded up town, they find it overrun with swamp-like beasts and hear a muffled groaning coming from the central building. Inside, they discover an Earthen undergoing a horrific transformation into a corrupted version of itself called a Skardin. Magni and Dagran fend off the Skardin and decide to investigate the situation further. The town's foreman warns them of hordes of Skardin lurking within the halls of Awakening. The champions enter the Taeloch mines to uncover the cause of the chaos, only to learn that the foreman herself has been infected. After defeating the infected foreman, Dagran spots a memory gem in the pools below. The memory gem reveals a shocking truth. The foreman had witnessed a conspiracy within the halls of Awakening. The High Speaker had allied with Xal'atath, who promised him that her artifact would perfect the Awakening machine and ensure the awakening of all Earthen. However, Xal'atath's influence had led to the creation of the Skardin, and the High Speaker had been given the means to restart the Awakening machine, unknowingly causing the Skardin transformation. The team informs Brinth of the High Speaker's betrayal, and together they travel north to the Earthen Works. Their mission is clear: stop the High Speaker from creating more Skardin. Brinth and the champions set out to disrupt the operations at the Earthen Works and confront the foreman overseeing the process. After slowing down the production, they turn their attention to the leader of the operation, Supervisor Varric. In an epic battle, they manage to slay Varric, and with the help of the enemy's own machinery, they blast away the remaining forces. With the path clear, the group enters the Halls of Awakening, chasing the High Speaker deeper into the vault. They find him attempting to activate the Awakening machine to transform more Earthen into Skardin. In a final confrontation, the High Speaker escapes through a void portal, leaving the Awakening machine corrupted by void energies. Magni, desperate to save his people, calls out to Azeroth and asks her for a blessing to cleanse the void energy. In what appears to be a self-sacrifice, Magni uses the blessing to purge the machine and saves the Earthen there from the transformation into the corrupted Skardin.
It is done! Now, with this power, all Earthen shall awaken.
We've lost them all. It's over.
Granda, you can stop this. I've seen you wield Azeroth's gift. It's you. You're the only one who can save them.
Magni. It is time.
Azeroth, let your blessing pass to them. You did it, Granda. You saved them.
You woke me. Magni.
Magni.
But who am I? Whoever you want to be.
With the High Speaker gone and the Awakening Machine fully operational once again, peace is restored to the Ringing Deeps. Upon their return to Gundagaz, Brint is appointed the new High Speaker, and the group, including the now cleansed Magni, prepare for their next adventure. Speaking of the next challenge, Anduin arrives to discuss the future with Edelgard. He mentions the Arathi people, rumoured to reside in the cavern called Hallowfall. Anduin sends the champions on their next mission to explore the mysteries of Khazalgar. The champions embark on their next adventure, venturing into the mysterious caverns of Hallowfall. Upon their arrival, they are introduced as outlanders, but are welcomed as friendly allies. Here we are introduced to Faerin, now a leading member of the Arathi in Hallowfall. She was a child when she arrived here. She wasn't meant to be part of the Hallowfall expedition, but she stowed away on the journey to escape a strained family life. After meeting with Anduin, Faerin tasks the champions with helping the Arathi regain their strength as they have been weakened by the relentless Nerubian onslaughts. Anduin asks about a crystal he had heard of, and Faerin explains that the Arathi call it Beledar, the Star, a sacred artifact also known as the Emperor's Vision of Holy Light. Faerin reveals that the Arathi in Hallowfall are part of an expedition from the Arathi Empire. They were following their Emperor's sacred vision across the sea, heading for Renalash, where the final battle between light and dark was prophesied to take place. However, during their voyage, they were caught in a storm and enveloped in a golden radiance, and in an instant they were transported into the depths of Khazalgar, where they have been battling the Nerubians ever since in order to survive. When the expedition's airships were unexpectedly transported into Hallowfall, Faerin was trapped under the rubble, losing her left eye and her arm in the process. General Steelstrike eventually dug her out of the wreckage, telling her that by stowing away she had become a soldier, not just a child. At the Aegis Wall in Hallowfall, Anduin and the champions meet Great Chiron, a leading warden of the Lamplighters, a group dedicated to keeping the Dawn Towers lit. The Dawn Towers were erected by the Arathi to prevent the land from becoming consumed by darkness when Beledar, the guiding star, shifts. Beledar exists in two states, light and the dark, and during its dark phase, the lighting of the Dawn Towers is crucial as it will help keep the forces of evil at bay during the periods of darkness. The champions ascend into the dark depths of Hallowfall to destroy nearby Nerubian burrows and gather shattered remnants from a Dawn Tower to ignite a small key flame atop the wall. With the key flame lit, Chiron sends the champions back into the darkness to continue thinning the ranks of the Nerubian invaders. After defending one of Hallowfall's primary defense lines, the Aegis Wall, from a Nerubian assault, the champions accompany Faerin to Tenir's ascent aboard the Dawnbreaker to help defend the Arathi Armada from further Nerubian attacks. Anduin informs the champions that the Nerubians in Hallowfall are being led by Siege Lord Zerosh and orders them to eliminate the threat. Ilaria joins the champions in the fight, and together they defeat Zerosh, dealing a major blow to the Nerubian forces. Meanwhile, Faerin and Chiron have already moved ahead to the Dawn Tower. Anduin and the champions soon follow. The urgency in lighting the Dawn Tower is revealed to Anduin as Beledar, the star at the centre of Hallowfall, begins to radiate dark void energies instead of its usual light. Amidst the star's transformation, Xal'atath begins to whisper into Ilaria's mind once again, urging her to travel deeper into Khazalgar in pursuit of the dark forces stirring within.
What is happening?
It's Beledar, our star. It shifts between the light and this. The Dawn Towers hold back the darkness with the sacred flame, but the light always returns.
The stars are devoured, and they light a candle. You know how this ends, Illyria? Inevitably, the void consumes everything.
Show yourself, monster!
You know where to find me. Deeper in the darkness.
With the sacred flame blazing atop the Dorn Tower at Tenier's ascent, Siren asks Anduin and the champions to accompany her on a routine patrol, with the next destination being Laurel's Crossing. They travel by air, but during the journey they are attacked by void entities. Despite the ambush, they manage to reach Laurel's Crossing safely. Upon arrival, they find the locals fleeing from a nearby village called Sinner's Yearning. The villagers inform Siren that the Kobis are raiding the village and have taken some Arathi captive. The Kobis are a fierce amphibious race that dwell in the depths of the undersea in Khaz-Algar. They are distant relatives to the Murlocs. General Steelstrike and Siren send the champions to the shores to eliminate the Kobis threat. After defeating the Kobis at the Sunless Strand, an Arathi local expresses gratitude to Siren Lothar for her help. It is at this moment that Anduin hears the name Lothar for the first time since entering the depths of Khaz-Algar. He realizes that Siren is of noble lineage, with the Lothars being direct descendants of Thoradin, the first human king.
To think I had relatives in the old world. Wonderful. I hope I can live up to such legends. Wait, if your grandfather was king of this Stormwind, then Anduin, my new friend, are you a king?
Not anymore.
Siren and Anduin then escort the villagers back to Laurel's Crossing, while the champions are tasked with heading deeper into Sinner's Yearning to deal with the dark entities lurking there. After successfully defending the village, they witness a wave of shadow expanding from the nearby Dorn Tower and go to investigate it. Upon arrival, they discover that the sacred flame atop the Dorn Tower has been extinguished by a group called the Order of Night. Led by an individual named Alric, a former lamplighter like Siren, the cult swears allegiance to Xal'atath, and Alric reveals his belief that in the darkness, the Arathi would find true freedom. It is revealed that the Order of Night is hiding in a nearby cave known as Gloomcrag. The champions are sent in to investigate, but as they leave the Dorn Tower, it is attacked by shadow creatures. Ilaria stays to fend them off, while Siren, Anduin, and the champions make their way to the cave. Inside Gloomcrag, they confront the Disciples of Night and discover a Shadow Rift ritual in progress. The ritual is stopped and the group make plans to escape, but Anduin struggles to use his light powers as he battles the void entities. After fighting through the shadows, they reach the cave entrance, where they are greeted by the returning light of Beledar, the guiding star, along with Ilaria Windrunner. With the sacred flame reignited at the cliffside beacon, the trio head to Mereldar to inform General Steelstrike of the nefarious plot that the Order of Night attempted to carry out at the Dorn Tower.
It's a first step. The rest is just time and trust.
The trio, along with Ilaria, travel to Empire's Edge Tavern, seeking a moment of respite. As they sit together, they discussed their next steps and allowed themselves a brief break from the intensity of their journey, even chatting casually about cats. While they rested, Ilaria received troubling news. A new wave of propaganda had begun to circulate in Mereldar. Sensing a possible connection to the Order of Night, Xal'atath's secretive followers, Ilaria and the champions decide it's time to investigate. The champions are sent out to uncover the truth behind the rumours, while Ilaria and Anduin stayed behind, gazing at Beledar, the mysterious star. Anduin pondered aloud, wondering if Beledar's strange shifts between light and dark were somehow linked to the radiant song he had been hearing. He mused that the star might even have a connection to Azeroth, and speculated that the Arathi's fabled Day of Darkness might have coincided with the moment Sargeras plunged his sword into Azeroth in an attempt to destroy the Worldsoul. Meanwhile, the champions spent time training with the Arathi recruits and visiting Faerun at the local orphanage. The atmosphere in the town was peaceful, until suddenly the bells tolled, signalling an attack. The city was under siege. Faerun, concerned, voiced her suspicions that the Kobis assault was tied to Ulrich once again. As panic spread through the streets, the champions sprang into action, rushing towards the Veneration Grounds, where the Order of Night and their Kobis allies were attempting to corrupt the Eternal Flame. The Eternal Flame of Arathor, often referred to as the Eternal Flame, is a sacred flame that burns continuously at the western edge of the Veneration Grounds. It serves as a powerful symbol of hope for the Arathi, who brought the flame with them from the Arathi Empire. And it was during the crash that stranded the Arathi in Hallowfall, the flame nearly went out. But the stowaway child, Faerun Lothar, bravely saved some of its embers, risking her life to keep the flames alive. They fought valiantly, pushing the Kobis back, but the darkness of Beledar loomed ever closer. As Beledar shifted into its dark phase once again, General Steelstrike called for a final, decisive strike. The champions were tasked with hunting down and defeating Ulrich. In an epic confrontation, they finally managed to slay him. Faerun rallied the Arathi forces, and with the Eternal Flame cleansed, the Veneration Grounds were slowly restored to their former peaceful state.
Our fear has overshadowed our faith. Beledar may have guided us, but it is not what will save us. Stand with me against the shadow. Show this harbinger the true strength of the Arathi.
And if you fall against the darkness, what will we do then?
It's what we always say, General. The light will return. Even if someone else carries the torch. We are the seekers of light. We are the holders of hope. In the very heart of shadow. Together, we guide the way.
Just as General Steelstrike was addressing her forces, the Nerubians had opened a new front at Light's Redoubt in southern Hallowfall. Without hesitation, the group rushed to the scene, where Chiron informed them that Livia's patients had been overrun by Nerubians. The champions were sent to defend the area, evacuating all the remaining Arathi. Once the town's inhabitants had been safely evacuated, the champions boarded the Reckoning to engage the remaining Nerubian forces. Everyone was aboard except for Anduin, who stayed behind to prevent the ship from being struck in the chaos. As the battle raged, the crew attacked the Nerubians from the skies, desperately trying to rescue Anduin, but they lost sight of him in the carnage. As the ship descends deeper into the abyss, it eventually drifted into the realm of Azj-Kahet, where it became stranded among thick cobwebs. Surrounded by the Nerubians, the champions and their crew found themselves in a dire situation, readying themselves for what's to come.
Brace yourselves!
The champions are sent to the surface to search for any clues of Anduin's survival after the Reckoning's crash into Azj-Kahet. Meanwhile, Faerun grows curious about the mysterious protector who helped fend off the Nerubians during the crash, and sends the champions into the breathing pit to uncover more information. Within the pit, the champions meet this protector, or Wenna, who is willing to befriend the Outlanders, but only if they prove themselves first. She asks for their help in clearing the breathing pit of the Nerubian infestation, as she fears the black blood found there could be dangerous if left in the Nerubian hands. Orwenna's people once believed that the dormant black blood posed no threat to their world, but the Nerubian invasion and their efforts to extract the blood for their own purposes have proven otherwise. The champions, along with Orwenna, travel to a nearby watchtower to eliminate the remaining Nerubian forces. After the battle, Orwenna reveals the City of Threads to the champions, before disappearing into the subterranean depths. They are led to the Weaver's lair by a small spider named Spindle, where they meet Widow Arathi, once the royal weaver to the late Queen Neferes. Arathi explains that the late Queen's daughter, Ansurek, has been manipulated by the Harbinger, and she is determined to stop these dark forces from usurping her great kingdom, and she seeks the champion's help in her struggle. She informs the champion of the Ascended, a fierce contingent of violent hunter-killers made by the Harbinger in the darkest depths of the city's transformatory, made to help with their pursuit of domination. To begin their pursuit of the Harbinger, the champions are tasked with making contact with a vizier, a loyalist working within the Queen's walls, someone who could provide valuable information to aid their quest. Widow Arathi sends the champions north to seek out potential allies who might join their fight against the Harbinger. Upon arriving, they find Faeryn and a group of Hallowfall Arathi setting up a camp named Faeryn's Advance. Faeryn then tasks the champions with finding a straggler left behind from the crash. They soon discover the injured Flynn Fairwind, and together they witness the brutality of a Nerubian leader named Zev Kal.
My orders were clear, and yet more overcrawlers regularly slip from our grasp. Failure! Unacceptable! Not only does this shame you, it shames me, which means no one will hear of it.
Flynn and the champions venture into Xal'atath, searching for Nerubian intelligence while slaying Kaheti forces and attempting to recover Flynn's lost blades. It is revealed that a Nerubian named Anub'Azal holds the orders that led to some of the survivors who had been imprisoned in Xal'atath to escape from the area, orders that Zev Kal was displeased with. Flynn proposes an audacious plan. The champions stow away in a box to be carried into the siege hold where they can confront Anub'Azal. Meanwhile, Flynn seeks the Weaver's help to find an antidote for his poisoned wound. When the champions meet Anub'Azal, they discover he is not entirely an enemy, but rather an opponent with a common foe. Zev Kal has been pushing Anub'Azal and his forces out of the siege hold to gain favour with Queen Ansurek. Anub'Azal is willing to ally with the Outlanders to stop Zev Kal. To solidify the alliance, Anub'Azal marks the champions with a pheromone to prevent his forces from attacking them on sight. He then sends the champions into the siege hold to eliminate Zev Kal's most formidable minions and gather blackmail material to use against him. After slaying Zev Kal's loyal followers, the champions are tasked with disrupting the alchemist Zev Kal has employed to create fake pheromones. Zev Kal cannot produce his own pheromones due to the ascension process he underwent, so he seeks to replicate Anub'Azal's scent to control the forces within the siege hold. The champions and the Goblin, Monty Gazlo, strike a deal with Anub'Azal. If they acquire the pheromones, Anub'Azal will release some of the prisoners he holds in the siege hold. After successfully obtaining the pheromones and freeing the prisoners, the champions team up with Gazlo to escape the siege hold. After safely escaping, the champions deliver the acquired pheromones to the Weaver. Finally, the Weaver had what she needed, an invitation to meet with the Vizier, someone who she believed could be a valuable ally in the fight against the Harbinger. With the pheromones in hand to mask their scents, the champions sent off for the burrows. Upon their arrival, the champions were greeted by Executor Nizrek, also known as the Vizier. However, the true surprise came from the shadows, where they found the long-lost Anduin Wrynn. It turned out that Anduin had been captured by the Nerubians and dragged to the City of Threads, but he had managed to talk his way out of the painful fate with the help of the Vizier. The champions informed Nizrek that the Weaver intended to take down Xal'atath and free Queen Ansurek from her corruption. However, Nizrek revealed that Ansurek wasn't under any corruption at all. She had made her own decision to align with Xal'atath, a choice that could only end with her death. With this new information, the champions applied the pheromones and prepared to enter the Umbral Bazaar. Unexpectedly, Ilaria arrived. Having received her own invitation, she was calmed down by Anduin before tensions with the Nerubians escalated. Executor Nizrak explained that today was Ascendance Day, a day when Queen Ansurek called for all to celebrate their void-infused evolution, their so-called ascendance. The champions were tasked with covertly targeting shade casters, those responsible for slowly corrupting the populace with Ansurek's vile propaganda. After doing all they could to undermine the shade casters, the champions, Ilaria and Anduin, all took their positions to observe Ansurek's Ascendance Day speech. As the speech began, Xal'atath appeared alongside Queen Ansurek, causing a wave of shock to ripple through the group. In a moment of instinct, Ilaria took a shot at Xal'atath, revealing their position.
For Khadgar.
Get the Queen to safety!
Move, now!
Repel the intruder!
With that decision, their only mission now was to escape. After battling through the forces blocking their escape, Anduin and the champions made a daring leap to safety, while Ilaria stayed behind to confront Xal'atath herself.
I've seen you, Windrunner. Always alone, pushing everyone away to embrace the hunt. Just like the monster you pretend not to be.
You're the only monster here.
Am I? You've slain hundreds to find me. Was that really all for Khadgar? Or is it just your nature to destroy? Come, Ilaria. Embrace who you truly are.
Ilaria.
I know who I am.
Run all you like. I'm coming for all of you.
Illyria, what happened back there?
She invited me into the darkness. Said I was already halfway there. And I'd be lying if I said that wasn't partly true. That by embracing the void to pursue her, I had to cast aside all I care for. You, Barisa, Turalyon, Arathor, Khadgar.
Dalaran wasn't your fault.
Can you blame me for wishing I had prevented it? For wondering if the void could have alerted me to Xal'atath?
No, I understand that feeling. More than you know.
For so long, I thought I had to choose between two paths. Stay with my loved ones, or walk alone in the void. Xal'atath sought to force that choice upon me. But I see now that there is only one path forward. The void is a part of me, as is my love for my family. I can and must walk with both, no matter what Xal'atath whispers in my ear.
It can be hard to find your footing in the darkness. Just remember, Illyria, we're always here to lend a hand.
In the aftermath, the champions returned to the Weaver, where she solidified an alliance between herself and Ubazal and Executor Nizrak. Ilaria then sends the champions back to Dornogol to inform Moira of everything that had transpired beneath the surface. Back in Dornogol, Moira informs the champions that Thrall and Jaina have returned with reinforcements. The champions assist their factions in establishing a base of operations in Dornogol to strengthen their foothold. After the camps are set up, the champions reunite with High Speaker Brinth and Dagran. Together, they enter the Vault of Memory, a chamber reminiscent of the Chamber of Heart seen earlier in the campaign. Dagran and the champions attempt to restart the mainframe within the vault. However, the mainframe appears to be damaged, and Brinth requires more time to repair it. She shares that more people from the city are stepping forward to join the fight against Xal'atath, and she is actively seeking more pledges to bolster their forces for the impending conflict. Ilaria asks the champions to check in with the Stormriders. Following the attack on the Storm Perch and the death of their leader, Stormward Baelgrim, their recovery is crucial for the protection of the Earthen. Thrall and the champions journey to Dar Oztan, on the western coast of the Isle of Dorn, to learn more about the Stormriders' condition. Upon arrival, they meet Ulberich, who expresses his belief that the binding of the Stormrooks is unnecessary, as they are intelligent creatures that will follow willingly. He asks the champions to seek out Baelgrim's conduit in the area, which they believe will act as a beacon to guide the Stormrooks of Skywall through the storm and to the Isle of Dorn. However, before it can be used, it must be recharged with elemental energy. After recharging the conduit, they travel to the peak to begin the summoning. While Lufcella performs the summoning, they are attacked by elementals, but the champions swiftly deal with the threat. With encouragement, Lufcella successfully summons the Stormrooks, who willingly bond with the Earthen. As the Stormriders begin forming bonds with their new Stormrooks, Thrall sends the champions to meet with Edelgon, Geara, and Turelion to check on the progress of training other Earthen forces, including the Unbound and the Oathsworn. After assisting with training efforts, the champions return to Dar Oztan to check on the Stormriders, where they find Kurdran Wildhammer offering his expertise in training the new recruits. The champions help Wildhammer teach the Stormriders how to fly the Stormrooks effectively, and even how to use them for aerial combat. Once the training is complete, the champions fly to the Sunrise Shadow near the Meadery to meet Ulberich, who had travelled there to pay his respects to the fallen Baelgrim. However, upon arrival they discover lingering Nerubian forces, and the champions assist Ulberich in clearing them out. After the area is secured, they encounter Xarine, Baelgrim's loyal Stormrook, who had remained at the site of his master's fall. Ulberich requests some time alone with Xarine and sends the champions to report back to Merix and Edelgon in the Proscenium. There they find the Council Ward overseeing the unification of the Oathsworn and the Unbound forces. However, this unity is an act that is essentially disobeying their original edicts, and the ritual takes a dark turn as a colossal Titan construct emerges from the sea.
Here, where it all began, where the edicts were written. Who would like to do the honors? I, the Council Ward of Dornogol, declare that we are all unbound.
The champions are dispatched on Shroudbendry to confront and slay the construct. After defeating the construct, they return to Dornogol. Ilaria is pleased with the progress in training the Earthen forces, especially now they have come together and united. She firmly believes they are ready for the upcoming war against Xal'atath. Ilaria informs the champions that Widow Arachni, deep within Azj-Kahet, may have valuable information related to their cause. The champions set off into the depths of Khazalgar to investigate. Upon arriving, Arachni tasks the champions with heading into the city to spy on the Nerubians. As they enter the city, they notice that the ascended Nerubians are nowhere to be found. After further investigation, it becomes clear that the Nerubians are preparing for war. Lillian Voss identifies 3 key areas of interest and sends the champions to uncover what the Nerubians are plotting. In addition, the champions are tasked with collecting loyalist secretions to produce pheromones that will allow them to infiltrate the laboratory of the Grand Splicer. The mission then shifts, with the champions focusing on discovering what Queen Ansurek plans to do with the first ascended beast, which is shackled in a prison. Lillian suspects that the answer lies within the laboratory. Through a Shadecaster vision, the champions uncover the truth behind Queen Neferess's death and her daughter Ansurek's alliance with Xal'atath, who promised her eternal glory.
Slender is the strand that guides our destiny, known only by true sacrifice. In our kingdom of Azj-Kahet, no one understood this sacrifice more than Queen Neferess, my mother. I saw this when the Black Empire came to conscript us for their last stand at Nylofa. My mother refused them.
For this treachery, your line will sever itself. This kingdom will wither with the waning of your worth.
Her strength defined us that day. And in that moment, we felt destined for greatness. But in the years that followed, our greatness was tarnished. Look at them out there. Wretched, starving.
I am not immune to our people's suffering. I believe better days will come.
Not if you keep failing to seize the moment. What was the point of you freeing our future, only to leave us buried in the past?
You comprehend so little. There is much for you to learn before you can be queen.
Mother! Mother!
Ansurek? Are you seeing this?
You have heard my voice in your dreams, Great Queen.
The Harbinger.
Yes, of the empire that was. But the old gods are dead. The empire lies in ashes. And a shadow has fallen on your kingdom. But the blood of the old gods can make your people powerful again. Your reign could last for eternity. All you have to do is take my hand.
Your words are tempting, but the cost is too great. I would never risk my kingdom for such power.
Mother, who are you talking to?
Oh, ghosts, dearest. As always, they are my ready counsel.
I'm not sorry for what I said. I only want our people to be great once more.
Greatness is fleeting. What we must do now is endure. Your time will come, child, but only when you are ready. What have you done?
You're not the only one seeing ghosts, Mother.
How sad to have a queen so wise, and yet so ignorant to the call of destiny.
You. Her name is Xal'atath. You had your chance, Mother. With this power, Azj-Kahet is unbound. We will rise. We will conquer.
live, Queen Ansurek.
It is also revealed that the Nerubians' obsession with the Black Blood, the blood of the old gods, stems from this dark pact. Shockingly, the ascended entity in the prison is revealed to be Queen Neferes herself. The champions then assist Yateki in freeing Queen Neferes, only to discover it was a trap set by Xal'atath. Yateki has fallen under Xal'atath's influence, forcing Lillian and the champions to subdue her. In the midst of these events, Lillian plans an attack on a weapons convoy to disrupt the Nerubian forces. She also sends the champions into the city to eliminate the siege marshal and the royal quartermaster, hoping to weaken the Nerubian forces, allowing Lillian and Yateki to escape. With the trio safely back in the Weaver's lair, Lillian sends the champions back to Dornogol to inform Alaria of the critical discoveries made within the City of Threads. After updating Alaria on the situation in Azj-Kahet, she sends the champions back into the Ringing Deeps at the request of High Speaker Brinth. Brinth is investigating a mysterious signal from the Deepforge Golem works and needs their assistance. Brinth has discovered an inactive golem facility, and if they can restart production, the war golems could be used in the fight against Xal'atath. She tasks the champions with helping the maintenance machine, nicknamed Zizi, navigate the golem factory. Upon investigating the factory, the champions set out to restore the facility. They meet Dagran and Gundagaz to discuss tactics for getting everything operational again. The first priority is to get the waterworks running. The champions are tasked with activating the water wheels and eliminating the elementals that have taken over in the area. Dagran informs the champions of an obstruction within the dam and asks them to investigate. The dam has been overrun by kobold forces, and with the help of Bran Bronzebeard, the champions fight their way through the dam to restore the main drain. In an intense battle, they defeat a kobold leader named Waxface, unblocking the main drain and freeing the water flow. Afterward, the champions return to Dagran at the waterworks, where together they restore the system and put it back into operation. From there, they are sent to meet Zizi at the Shadow Vein extraction site. The next task is to bring the extraction facility back online. The champions reroute the water supply, restore power to the facility, decontaminate crusher machines, and clear the mining track. Finally, they activate the master switch, defeat a massive magma serpent, and report back to Brinth and Dagran outside the Deepforge Golem works. With both the waterworks and the extraction site operational again, it is time to launch an assault on the Golem works to take control and restart production. Working together, the champions, Brinth and Zizi, drive out the goblins, with Zizi successfully reactivating the golems. Brinth manages to get the facility back up and running, ready for the next phase of the battle against Xal'atath. As the champions return to Dornogol, Great Chiron arrives with urgent news. Xal'atath has attacked the Aegis Wall in Hallowfall. In response, Alaria sends the champions back into Hallowfall to locate General Steelstrike. Upon arrival, General Steelstrike immediately dispatches the champions to the front line to defend against the Nerubian onslaught. On the battlefield, the champions join forces with Thrall and Jaina, and together they set out to defeat the Nerubian lieutenants leading the assault. However, it's here that Alaria realizes they have fallen into Xal'atath's trap.
Khadgar?
This isn't the real fight.
The black blood. It's all around us. Turalian, I have to go.
What? The battle's about to turn.
We've played right into Xal'atath's hands. But I know where she is. And I'm going to stop her.
I'm coming with you.
I know you would. But your place is here. I need you to trust me.
We'll be right with you.
Come back to me.
I always do.
Acting swiftly, she takes the champions, Farin and Anduin, to the Priory of the Sacred Flame in Hallowfall aboard the Dawnbreaker ship. Once they arrive, their first task is to light the braziers around the area and purify the central well. As they push deeper into the sanctified grounds, they encounter the Broken Queen, the remains of Queen Neferas. After an intense battle, the group manages to subdue the Broken Queen and set off to confront Xal'atath herself. Inside of the Priory, Illyria faces Xal'atath in a final showdown.
You mortals are the most wrathful creatures in existence. I've watched you break worlds, overthrow gods. Even the realm of death couldn't hold you. Your hunger for violence is insatiable. You lured us here, unleashed us upon the Nerubians. All to fuel the Black Blood's power. My power. This stops now. Your determination delights me. But I have risen from the ashes of countless empires. I have survived ordeals you cannot comprehend. You cannot kill me. I'm not aiming at you.
This changes nothing!
Khadgar! No. I heard your voice. This can't be.
You did well. I knew you would stop her.
Stay with me, Khadgar. Don't let go.
Khadgar, still recovering from his ordeal, shares his incredible tale of his survival. In a desperate bid to escape Xal'atath's wrath, he transformed himself into an entity of pure, arcane energy, allowing his essence to become trapped within the Dark Heart. It was a calculated risk, a gamble that he hoped would lead to his eventual release, and it paid off. Though weakened and still mending, Khadgar is back among us, his wisdom and power far from diminished. But for now, Khadgar's story must wait, as Illyrria's warning still echoes in our minds. At her request, we descend once more into the shadowed depths of Khazalgar.
Xal'atath has been forced to retreat, but she and the Black Blood are still out there.
Upon landing in Hallowfall, we are greeted by a familiar yet mysterious figure, the one who had previously saved us during our descent into Azj-Kahet. Her name, Orwenna, and it seems she's been waiting for us. Orwenna explains that her people, the Haranir, had been investigating signs of the Black Blood, and then they were overwhelmed by Xal'atath's forces. Their efforts were cut short, and now Orwenna asks us, the heroes, to pick up where they left off. Our mission is simple: venture deeper into Hallowfall, locate any remaining Haranir survivors, and study the strange vegetation sprouting from the black blood in hopes of uncovering more information about its corrupting influence. But the path wasn't easy. Orwenna also tasks us with defeating a blood-crust behemoth, a monstrous entity twisted and empowered by the Black Blood's corruption. Another Haranir, Hanan, joins Orwenna. He also asks us to assist in thinning the relentless waves of void creatures attacking his people, hopefully giving them a chance to regroup and survive. After gathering samples from the corrupted plants, rescuing scattered Haranir survivors, and carving a path through the Voidspawn near Tenir's ascent in Hallowfall, the Haranir forces retreat to recover and regroup.
We must recover before continuing our fight.
Continue? Orwenna, we must retreat and speak.
We later find Hanan on the shores of Hallowfall, where Orwenna soon arrives as well. Here, Hanan reveals his growing doubts, and announces his intention to return to the Cradle to seek forgiveness from the Haranir elders for their actions, the Cradle being the presumed homeland of the Haranir. Hanan admits that their recent choices have been guided by Orwenna's visions, but he can no longer support this divine mission. In this moment, another revelation emerges from this meeting. Orwenna explains that their goddess is calling out for help, her voice a hauntingly radiant song, which of course bears an uncanny resemblance to the melody our own people have been hearing.
You've seen the growing threats here, Hanan. We cannot give up now.
The others and I are returning to the Cradle to seek forgiveness. You owe it to them to face the elders by their side.
Tell the elders that the fault is mine, and mine alone. I will face them in time, but for now, my path is here.
Then you will walk it alone. I do not understand your conviction, Orwenna, but I do admire it. May the ancient roots of our people ever thrive beneath your steps.
Goodbye, Hanan.
We later find Orwenna on the farthest shores of Hallowfall, gazing out across the vast shadowed expanse of the Great Cavern. She asks us to stand guard, protecting her from the creatures prowling along the shoreline while she enters a deep meditation, hoping to hear the voice of her goddess once again. In her trance, she successfully connects with Azeroth's World Soul, receiving a cryptic yet powerful vision. The source of the disturbance seems to point in one direction.
Orwenna. Show me. I understand.
When Orwenna emerges from her meditation, she's more determined than ever to see her mission through. Do you see what I did there? She instructs us to meet her in the Ringing Deeps. Upon arriving at Camp Murok, we find Orwenna already waiting. We're introduced to Monty Gazlo, the current trade prince of the Bilgewater Cartel and former leader of the Goblin port town of Ratchet. It now seems that our path is once again intertwined with the Goblins. There's a lot of commotion at Opportunity Point, and Gazlo wants answers. It seems a new Goblin organization called Opportunity Acquisitions has sprung up, and their operations seem unusually secretive. To get to the bottom of it, Gazlo needs us to acquire a work permit granting access to their work zones. Our target, a Goblin named Haxel Drillbit, the operations foreman. After quickly dealing with Haxel in a classic hero fashion, we rendezvous with Gazlo at Opportunity Point. With the permit in hand, Gazlo sends us on a reconnaissance mission to investigate the ongoing activities. Meanwhile, Orwenna asks us to sabotage some of the excavators, hoping to silence the deafening noise they're creating and disrupt their operations. During this investigation, we also cross paths with a goblin named Renzik, an SI-7 operative who's also snooping around. He's deeply concerned about what the goblins are up to and asks for our help in taking down a haywire mech causing chaos nearby. Naturally, we step in and handle the rogue machine. With the area now slightly calmer, Orwenna gathers us to share her findings from her scouting mission. Her revelation is staggering.
Look, pal, the only opportunity here is the one I gave you. Big things are coming, and if you want to be part of it, you better fall in line. Jastor Gallywix, he's back in business.
One of the most cunning and powerful goblins Azeroth has ever known is back. Jastor Gallywix, and he's the one pulling the strings of this new goblin organization. Realizing the gravity of this situation, Gazlo sends us back to Aleria to deliver our report. When we arrive, we learn that Orwenna has already made her way to Dornogal to join forces with the heroes of Azeroth. There, she's been instructed to meet with Magni Bronzebeard to discuss the visions she's been having. Visions that might hold the key to unraveling the mystery of the Black Blood.
Her voice has led me far from my home, seeking a truth I know she wishes to reveal. But my kin, they do not understand.
While Khadgar recovers from his injuries, the heroes of Azeroth are sent on a new mission to the Siren Isle. Known as Sirendor to the Vrykul, this storm-wrecked island was once a hub of Azerite mining during the Fourth War, led by the Kultirans. But since then, its inhabitants have mysteriously vanished, leaving behind an island shrouded in mystery. Our adventure begins in the Foundation Hall of Dornogal, where we meet Dorn, a key member of the Council. She explains that a goblin salvage team recently stumbled upon the isle and discovered a strange singing crystal at its centre. Dorn tasks us with investigating this anomaly. At the East Gate in Dornogal, we rendezvous with Xal'atath, who helps us prepare for the expedition. He sends us ahead to meet Bargus, an Earthen expedition leader overseeing the investigation of the crystal. Upon meeting Bargus at the Siren Isle, he reveals that his team has crafted a specialised scanning device designed to analyse the crystal. However, to power the device, they require additional resources from both the Arathi and the Goblins. With no time to waste, we set off to gather what's needed to bring the scanner online. The mystery of the singing crystal deepens, and the faint echoes of something ancient begin to resonate from below the surface. Whatever lies at the heart of the Siren Isle is waiting to be uncovered. Using 3 pylons, Bargus and his team examine the massive crystal at the centre of the Siren Isle. The results are staggering. Bargus concludes that what we see on the surface is merely the tip of the metaphorical iceberg. This crystal stretches far deeper into the earth, its true size and purpose hidden beneath the surface. So what exactly is this crystal? Now, if you're like me, you probably haven't been doing this, but if you've been keeping up with the Archive weekly quests, you might already know. When you complete those weekly quests, you're shown an entry from the Titanic Watcher Arcadus. In his 3rd entry, he reveals that the Watchers were tasked with constructing the Coreway, the massive structure we now see in Dornogal, and what we use to access Khazalgar. Its purpose was to study the heart of Azeroth, to observe the world soul without causing it harm. However, during the construction of the Coreway, the Watchers encountered crystals, calcified fragments of the world soul's very essence. Arcadus theorized that countless numbers of these crystals might lie undiscovered, scattered across Azeroth, each holding immense significance. Following the crystal signal further north, we accompany Bargus and stumble upon something unexpected: hostile Vrykul. These Vrykul seem drawn to the crystal's energy, their presence raising more questions than answers. Pushing deeper into a tunnel carved into the rock, we follow the strongest signal. Inside, we discover an ancient tablet glowing with energy. Bargus quickly finds out that the energy isn't originating from the tablet, it's flowing through it like a conduit. He requests a closer look, But as we approach, something extraordinary happens. When we interact with the tablet, we are transported into a forgotten vault, a vast, titanic structure, heavily guarded by Vrykul. The vault holds ancient knowledge, with tablets scattered throughout to recount the Vrykul's arrival on the Siren Isle, a tale we'll explore in more detail in a future story. Deeper in the vault, we battle crystal-sworn memories, twisted remnants of the vault's long-lost protectors. Eventually, we discover another crystal, the source of the second signal. Near it lies a skeleton, clutching a rune-carved ring. This ring once belonged to a legendary Vrykul leader named Cersei. Our presence awakens a giant vault defender, but the battle is swift and we emerge victorious. With Cersei's ring in hand, we return to the surface where the Earthen carefully repair the artifact and return it to us. With the ring now restored, our mission on Siren Isle takes a new direction. The heroes of Azeroth are sent forth to uncover more secrets about the Isle, the crystal, and how we might unlock the true potential of Cersei's ring. Back in Dornegal, Khadgar has now unlocked himself and has managed to recover somewhat from his encounter with Xal'atath, but he's still far from ready to venture back into the field. He sends us to meet with Archmage Aethus Sunreaver at the Dalaran crash site in the Tranquil Strand. When we arrive, we find Aethus, wary, restless, and clearly shaken by the devastation surrounding him. The aftermath of Dalaran's fall has left him desperate for support, and he entrusts us with a crucial task, helping him deliver a message to the surviving Kirin mages. The crash site itself has become a zone of elemental unrest, with unstable energies making it dangerous for survivors to return. Aethus then asks for our help in securing the crash site and gathering key reagents needed to cast a protective barrier over the area. Armed with a list of arcane materials, arcane dust, radiant prism crystals, and frostfire essence, we set out to gather the reagents. Once collected, Aethus begins crafting an immense protective spell. He hands us the completed wards and instructs us to place them around the crash site, creating protective barriers to stabilize the volatile energies. With the wards successfully placed and the barriers holding firm, Aethus is now utterly drained from the spellcasting. While he takes a much-needed rest, he entrusts us with the responsibility of establishing a Kirin outpost at the Tranquil Strand, a safe haven amidst the chaos. Just as we begin setting up, a familiar face arrives. Kalecgos. The aspect of the blue dragonfly. He informs us that the raw arcane energy radiating from Dalaran's ruins is disrupting long-range teleportation spells, making it nearly impossible to reach the area directly. Recognizing the gravity of this situation, Kalecgos tasks us with setting up a proper base camp, ensuring that the Kirin and their allies have a stable foothold to begin unraveling the mysteries surrounding Dalaran's crash site. Kalecgos fears that many of the powerful artifacts and magical items that were once safeguarded within the halls of Dalaran have been scattered, or worse, fallen into the wrong hands. To prevent these relics from causing further harm, he enlists our help in recovering them. We meet Kalecgos at the morning rise on the Isle of Dorn, where he's detected arcane auras radiating from an old structure. Upon our arrival, he shares his suspicion. An age-old adversary may be behind the missing artifacts, the kobolds. Though they're often dismissed as simple scavengers, kobolds have a knack for stumbling upon powerful magical items. Kalecgos calls on us to raid the area and begin the search. During our sweep, we recover several artifacts and a peculiar necklace. Intrigued by the necklace's dark aura, Kalecgos asks us to examine it more closely with him. As we inspect the necklace, its curse activates and we're pulled into a pocket dimension, a space forged from ancient arcane magic. Kalecgos explains to us that such dimensions were often used by mages for research, dangerous spell testing, and hiding away forbidden experiments. While these dimensions are sealed from the outside world, they are never without an exit. It's just a matter of finding it. We begin exploring and quickly realize this dimension was once a research facility. The remnants of rat experimentation hint at disturbing magical tests, with scattered notes suggesting the mage intended to transition to human subjects to push their knowledge even further. The dimension then shifts around us, transforming it into an eerie lab focused on a cauldron experiment linked to infected grain. Now you can see where this is going. The scattered notes and dark energy suggest this experiment may have been tied to the infamous shipments sent to Brill in Lordaeron, a grim moment that marked the beginning of the Scourge's rise and the fall of Lordaeron itself. Suddenly, a mirror image of Kel'Thuzad materializes before us. In his mage form, he reveals the truth. This pocket dimension was his personal lab, and his necklace we found was once his pendant, a tool that allowed him to hide his most secret experiments from the eyes of the Kirin Tor. Kel'Thuzad speaks with a chilling certainty, criticizing the Kirin Tor, claiming they have lost their way and strayed far from their original purpose.
A mistake? Is that not what the Kirin Tor is now? Bumbling mages making mistakes and meddling in what they understand not. They mistake cowardice for morality and wisdom for mediocrity. True power can only come from sacrifice, from setting aside taboos and fear, and venturing into the unknown. So do not speak to me of mistakes. The Kirin Tor is the mistake. I have chosen my path, one of learning and discovery. I will not be hindered by the short-sightedness of those who cling to the illusion of right and wrong. Now go, before I find use for you in one of my experiments.
As we step back into reality, it's clear that the artifacts of Dalaran's fall are far more dangerous than we realised, and their secrets are only just beginning to unravel. After a brief moment of reflection at morning rise, it's time to return to the Tranquil Strand. When we arrive, it's clear that reinforcements have arrived, among them none other than Lady Jaina Proudmoore. She quickly confirms their suspicions about the arcane interference with teleportation spells. Portals have begun appearing along the shoreline, but no mages have stepped through. Jaina explains that the mages are likely trapped between the realms, unable to fully materialize. She tasks us with stabilizing these portals and helping the stranded mages cross through safely. Once the portals are secured and the stranded mages are brought through, we regroup with Jaina, Caligos, and Aethus. While some mages have answered the call, the turnout is far less than Jaina had hoped. She then warns us that the quest to recover the missing Dalaran artifacts is far from over. Reports have surfaced indicating that powerful magical artifacts are being smuggled into Azj-Kahet, the Nerubian-occupied caverns deep below Khazalgar. The mission is clear: retrieve these artifacts before they can be weaponized against us. Using a portal, we arrive with Jaina in the Breathing Pit, the shadowed entrance to Azj-Kahet. Almost immediately, we discover something extremely alarming: a mana bomb, primed and ready. Jaina recognizes it instantly. She reveals a grim truth: the notes used by Thaylen Songweaver to create the devastating mana bomb that obliterated Theramore during the Cataclysm had been stored under tight guard in Dalaran. Against her wishes, they were never destroyed. Now, those notes have fallen into Nerubian hands after the destruction of the city, and they've managed to recreate the weapon. The task ahead is urgent and clear: defuse the mana bomb before it can cause any catastrophic destruction. As we disable the mana bomb's power sources, a swarm of Nerubians descends upon us, desperate to protect their deadly prize. The skittering ambush is fierce, but the attackers are swiftly cut down. With the Nerubians dealt with, we successfully realign the bomb's matrix, disarming the bomb, and preventing a catastrophe on the scale of Theramore's destruction all those years ago. While the immediate danger is averted, Jaina remains uneasy. She's convinced that other powerful artifacts still lie hidden within the Breathing Pit. Artifacts that must either be secured or destroyed if they prove too dangerous to risk falling into enemy hands. Upon returning to the Tranquil Strand, we find Jaina standing alongside Khadgar. A solemn air hangs over them as they prepare a ceremony to honour those who perished during the destruction of Dalaran. Khadgar entrusts us with a final poignant task: placing mementos upon ceremonial boats before they're sent drifting across the tranquil waters, a symbolic farewell to the fallen. As the ceremony concludes, Khadgar speaks with a renewed sense of purpose. He promises that the Kirin Tor will rise again, not as they were, but as something stronger, wiser, and guided by better philosophy. With the ceremony complete, Khadgar returns to Dorn to rest and recover, while Jaina, Athos, and Kalagos remain at the Tranquil Strand outpost, continuing their work to rebuild, recover lost knowledge, and confront the growing threats looming over Azeroth. We return to Opportunity Point, where Monty Gazlo is waiting for us at a massive blasted hole in the side of the Ringing Deeps. And in true Goblin fashion, the first thing we encounter, a toll booth. The venture company, never ones to miss a chance to make a quick buck, has set up shop, charging travellers a fee just to pass through. These goblins. After paying the toll, because we can't continue without doing so, we push forward into the blast hole, where we meet up with Gazlo at a small mining camp. Something strange is happening here, and it's up to us to figure it out. At first glance, this appears to be a standard venture company mining operation, but it doesn't take long to realise that other goblin cartels have shown up to stake their claim. That's when we are introduced to the Darkfuse Cartel, a shadowy organisation with some very dangerous plans. Now's a good time to break down the trade coalition between the goblin cartels. As we know, several goblin cartels operate across Azeroth and beyond, but 4 major players dominate the scene: the Bilgewater Cartel, the Blackwater Cartel, the Steamweedle Cartel, and of course, the Venture Company. Most of the time, these cartels manage to coexist peacefully, but conflicts do arise, and to prevent all-out war, especially with the ever-aggressive Venture Company, they came together to form the Trade Coalition. This agreement ensures that business and profits take priority over fighting. The coalition is governed by the trade princes and the leaders of the companies that have signed on to it. The details of its inner workings remain murky, but we do know that Gallywix still holds some influence, and Undermine serves as its headquarters. Later in the storyline, we'll actually get a fly-on-the-wall cutscene of a trade coalition meeting, giving us a rare glimpse into how it all operates. Now, going back to what's happening down in the Ringing Deeps, to get a better look at what's going on, we stir up some chaos by taking down a few Darkfuse enforcers, creating the perfect distraction for Gazlo and Renzik to sneak past and investigate what's going on. Meanwhile, Orwenna has us searching through canisters and crates, looking for any connections to her visions. As we move deeper into the verdant gutters, we stumble upon something chilling. A bounty contract issued by Jastor Gallywix himself. He's hunting for the goblin responsible for blasting open the tunnel and exposing the Darkfuse activities. That's when we take a quick tour of Gutterville, where the full scale of the operation is revealed. The goblins are extracting the black blood. Orwenna, seeing the dangers this poses, asks us to help sabotage the operation. We start by eliminating black blood creatures and marking weak points in the pipelines so she can destroy them. But we're not the only ones looking to cause trouble. Enter Pamsy, a venture company goblin who seems to have her own problems. She tells us that some of her employees are wandering around aimlessly. She doesn't recognise them. Suspecting that they might be working for Gallywix, she sends us to deal with them. Meanwhile, Gazlo has another job for us. Gutterville has a spy problem. We get to work interrogating Bilgewater Cartel goblins, trying to find out who's been feeding information to the wrong people. With things heating up, Pamsy leads us to the pump station, where we might be able to shut down the spread of the black blood in the area. She also sends us on a rescue mission to find some of her missing engineers, while Orwenna asks us to eliminate more black blood monstrosities. At this point, Gazlo and Pamsy come up with a wild plan to freeze the pump station and stop the black blood in its tracks. To make it work, we need to collect chill-burst canisters from the slimes in the area. At the same time, Renzik has another target for us, Gozik Cogcrane, a key figure in the operation who needs to be taken out. After dealing with all of that, and with everything in place, we take to the skies on a rocket board, soaring around the pump station while freezing weak points in the pipework, allowing Orwenna to strike with precision. With the immediate crisis handled down here, and the goblins regrouping, we receive our next orders. It's time to head to Undermine, and that's where the real chaos begins. Undermine is the vast underground capital of the goblins, hidden beneath Mount Kajaro on the Isle of Kazan in the South Seas. It's a sprawling maze of tunnels, vaults and lava tubes twisting through the earth, a testament to the goblins' cunning, ambition and love for both industry and chaos. If you are curious about the city's origins and how it became the seat of Goblin power, we've covered its history in detail in a previous video exploring the 4 major Goblin cartels. You can find the link down below if you want to dig deeper into its lore. After arriving in Undermine, we meet our Goblin contact, Grimlar Fizzlecrank, who quickly points us in the direction of the Incontinental Hotel. If we're going to survive in Undermine, we need to understand how things work down here, and unsurprisingly, it's all about shady business dealings and Goblin corruption. With that bit of background out the way, Grimlar takes us to Tailgate Park, and on the way, she drops a bombshell. The Bilgewater Cartel has lost control of Undermine, and there's a new player in town, the Darkfuse Cartel. Even worse, the Goblin Gazlo left in charge of the Bilgewater operations down here, Laszlo Overbite, has been murdered by Gallywix and the Darkfuse.
I'd ask you to stick around, but we got real business. You understand? Ugh. Show our guest out.
When we arrive at Tailgate Park, chaos is already in full swing. Grimlar asks us to thin the ranks of the Darkfuse, while Gazlo tasks us with tracking down whoever is supposed to be leading Bilgewater down here. That search leads us to Delby Overbite, Laszlo's sister. But with her brother gone and no desire to take charge, there is no real leadership in Undermine, allowing the Darkfuse to seize power. With the situation looking dire, we move on to the Heaps, the headquarters of the venture company. Here, we meet Nikki the Fixer, the current leader of the company, who seems completely unbothered by the Darkfuse presence. In fact, she even defends some of their operations, then casually sets fire to a nearby building and flies off. I didn't get that part either. While we process that, Pamsy, one of our more reasonable venture company allies, voices her concern. Darkfuse spy copters are patrolling the area, and if they report back to Gallywix, some of the venture company workers might look like traitors after trying to clean up what Nikki the Fixer had done. So, to keep them safe, we are asked to destroy the spy copters and steal their footage before it reaches Gallywix. With that handled, Orwenna arrives with urgent news. The black blood is everywhere in the underground city. She has located a shipment of black blood over at Hovel Hill, and we are tasked with investigating it. But first we pick up our very own transport, the G99 Breakneck. Because if we're going to navigate Undermine, we might as well do it in style. I mean, if you like Need for Speed Underground, then this is great. When we arrive in Hovel Hill, we find Orwenna and Renzik already investigating. They uncover a letter warning against Ethereals in Undermine. Ethereals are astral travellers who reside within the Twisting Nether, originally from the planet Koresh. They were forced to flee their home world around 1,000 years ago when it fell to an invasion by the Void Lord Dimensius The All-Devouring. Alarmed by the presence of the Ethereals, Orwenna rushes off to inform Ilaria, leaving us to deal with the Black Blood shipments. Our investigation leads us to Baron Revelgaz, the current trade prince of the Blackwater Cartel, who turns out to be deeply involved in the Black Blood trade. However, he seems far more concerned about the Ethereals interfering with his operations. To counteract this, he has begun constructing anti-ethereal units in his workshop. Suspicious of his motives, Gazlo sends us to speak with him directly. When we confront Revelgaz, he insists that he is just trying to survive under Gallywix's reign of terror, confirming to us that Gallywix is running the show down in Undermine. And he also insists that he isn't the real problem here, the Darkfuse goblins are, and they've been causing trouble for the locals of Undermine. To push back against their growing influence, he asks us to eliminate some of their enforcers and burn their recruitment posters spread across Hovel Hill. With the situation escalating, our crew regroups and heads to a drop site for Black Blood shipments, determined to trace where they're being sent. Upon arrival at the Heaps, Renzik gives us our next task: clear out the Heaps depot, eliminate guards, and destroy shipments ready for transport. At the same time, Gazlo has us take out Zerdo, a former venture company goblin who has sided with Gallywix in exchange for a promotion. While carrying out our mission, we stumble upon Zerdo's ledger, which contains a crucial revelation. The shipments of the Black Blood ultimately lead back to one goblin, Marin Noggenfogger of the Steamweedle Cartel. With this new lead, we travel to Venturewood to meet with Renzik, but before we can get too far, an Ethereal suddenly appears and threatens us. We manage to subdue it, but just as quickly as it arrived, it vanishes. The next thing on our list, find Dalaran at Central Station. She has arrived, but there's one small problem. The Goblin customs agents are reluctant to let the most famous Void Elf on Azeroth into the city. And with that, Chapter 2 of the story comes to an end. But our investigation in Undermine is only just beginning. Starting off with Chapter 3, we follow the lead to Marin Noggenfogger at the Vat Works, where we hope to uncover more about the ongoing operations in Undermine. However, when we arrive, it's clear that Noggenfogger is being held under guard by the Darkfuse Cartel. Unable to speak freely, he subtly hints that he needs us to distract some of the stationed guards so he can share more information. Once the guards are occupied, Noggenfogger directs us to investigate the venture company's Khajiit supply lines, suspecting that they might hold some answers. As we sift through company paperwork, Grimlar asks us to take a different approach. If we can convince some of the underpaid venture company workers to walk away from their jobs, it could weaken the operation from within. As we continue digging, we come across a message from Gallywix himself. The note makes one thing clear: any worker who wants access to the latest weapons better be working late and skipping their holidays. This raises a question. Maybe Gallywix is using the Black Blood to develop new Goblin weapons. We regroup with Gazlo and the crew, only to discover that the shipments of Khajiit are being sent to the Khaja coast in Zuldazar. To infiltrate the site, we're going to need a venture company punch card, which can only be obtained from lead foreman Chrome. Renzik joins us on the mission, sending us to take out Chrome and secure the punch card. The fight with Chrome proves our suspicions. Chrome is using weapons enhanced by the Black Blood, confirming that Gallywix's latest experiments are well underway. With the punch card secured, we regroup at Slam Central and make preparations for our journey to Khaja Coast in Zuldazar. Upon arrival at the Khaja Coast, we are immediately met with Darkfuse security and surveillance. Gazlo, never one to let a few watchful eyes ruin his plans, sends us to take down the surveillance birds, while Renzik focuses on eliminating the Darkfuse enforcers stationed in the area. With the first line of Darkfuse defense weakened, Gazlo sets his sights on the mining operation. The Darkfuse cartel have been stockpiling Khajiit, and while disrupting their supply is our priority, Gazlo also wants us to ensure we don't jeopardize relations with the local Zandalari trolls. Meanwhile, Renzik sends us to deal with the venture company supervisors who are overseeing the mining efforts. With everything set in motion, Gazlo unveils his next plan. We're going to pilot our own surveillance bird to get a closer look at what's happening inside the facility. And that's where we make a critical discovery.
Begin the weapon test.
It worked. The Khajiit contains and stabilizes the Black Blood.
So we can tell Gallywix this'll fix the Dark Heart?
Yep, and all of his improved weapons designs too.
Great news. Hey boys! No witnesses.
Wait, no!
The Khajiit is being used to stabilize the Black Blood, the key component in the construction of the latest Goblin weaponry. But weapons aren't the true goal here, they're just a byproduct. The real purpose of this operation, Gallywix has been working for Xal'atath all along. The evidence suggests that he is helping her repair the Dark Heart, the ancient relic that Ilaria damaged with her arrow back in the Priory of the Sacred Flame. Realizing the scale of this danger, Gazlo gives us one final task: eliminate Overseer Dritz to halt the transport of Khajiit and stall Gallywix's operations. After that, with our mission at the Khaja coast complete, we return to Undermine and head straight to the Vat Works to meet with Noggenfogger. However, as we arrive, we find ourselves in the middle of an all-out battle. The Steamweedle Cartel headquarters is under attack by Ethereals. What exactly do the Ethereals want? And how does their presence tie in to Gallywix's schemes? It seems the deeper we dig, the more tangled this conspiracy becomes. The fourth chapter of the Undermine campaign begins in the midst of chaos. Ethereals have launched a full-scale invasion, and we join forces with Ilaria to push them back. With their forces eventually scattered, we regroup and head to the labs, where we finally get some long-awaited answers from Noggenfogger. At last, he reveals the truth. Gallywix has been hiding the Dark Heart inside a warehouse in Undermine. But that's not all. Noggenfogger's wife is also being held there, which is why he couldn't reveal this information until now. Before we can process this, the ethereal Azir appears. and makes one thing clear: the Ethereals have no intention of leaving empty-handed. They are here to take the Dark Heart. With no time to waste, we rush to the heaps, expecting a clash with Darkfuse forces, but when we arrive, we find something unexpected. The Darkfuse goblins guarding the area have already been wiped out by the Ethereals. It seems the Ethereals were never working with Gallywix at all. We push forward, rescuing hostages and eliminating the Ethereal forces before making our way deeper into the compound. That's when we come across something important: the barricaded entrance leading to the Horde Room. This, according to Gazlo, is where Gallywix is keeping the Dark Heart. We breach the entrance and finally come face to face with Gallywix himself. He has the Dark Heart in his possession, but before we can stop him, an Ethereal arrives to claim it.
You're too late, Gazlo, buddy. You'll never beat me to a good deal.
Gallywix!
Oh, I was just about to send that on to Xal'atath. Repair work's all finished. Not holding out or nothing, I swear.
Whatever Xal'atath promised you, Gallywix, it ain't worth it.
Get it right. I'll remember this. This is my town, and when I come back, I'm gonna bury you under it.
With the Dark Heart now in the hands of the Ethereals and Gallywix once again slipping through our grasp, the team is left at a crossroads. Gazlo considers his mission in Undermine complete, while Ilaria shifts her focus entirely to tracking the Dark Heart. But not everyone is ready to move on. Renzik is furious. Why are they letting Gallywix walk away yet again? We regroup outside the Bilgewater Flats, where Renzik makes one last attempt to convince Gazlo to stay and finish their fight against Gallywix. But before the argument can go any further, disaster strikes.
Take the shot.
Catch you on the flip side, Gazzy.
Renzik! Oh no. No, 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 no!
Kill them all! Triple hazard pay for whoever brings me Gazlo's head!
In what can only be described as a get down Mr. President moment, Renzik is suddenly consumed by the void, disappearing before our very eyes. As shock sets in, Gallywix's voice rings across the city's speakers. He announces that the Darkfuse goblins will now receive triple pay for wiping out the remaining goblins in Undermine. Gallywix might have lost the Dark Heart, but he isn't done yet, and Undermine is about to become a war zone. With Gallywix tightening his grip on Undermine, the leaders of the other goblin cartels gather at the scrap shop in Bilgewater territory. It's time to make a stand against Gallywix, and they plot to overthrow him. The Goblin Revolution of Undermine is about to begin. Our first step takes us to Tailgate Park, where we meet with Dirk Greasedealer, a goblin who might be able to help us recruit more fighters for the cause. He gives us a simple but effective plan to face Darkfuse recruitment propaganda and eliminate some of their riot forces in the process. With the people stirred up, support for the revolution starts to grow. But before we can move forward, Nikki the Fixer makes her move. She's terrorizing the goblins of Tailgate Park, crushing any signs of rebellion before they can spread. We confront her, but rather than fight, she unleashes creatures infused with black blood to stop us while she makes her escape. After that, and with Tailgate Park secure, Gazlo sends us to meet with Noggenfogger and Revelgaz. The two trade princes have a plan. Before we move on Gallywix, we need to retake the marina. The Darkfuse Joyriders have taken control, and we're tasked with clearing them out, while also gathering sliced limes to enhance some of Noggenfogger's potions. That's when we learn why. Noggenfogger's special deluxe potion is meant to heal Fleetmaster Seahorn, a key ally. Once he's back on his feet, he personally leads the charge against the remaining Darkfuse forces in the marina, culminating in a showdown with Dockmaster Skis. With the Blackwater Marina reclaimed, we regroup with Orbanner and Grimlar in Venturewood. Grimlar brings us troubling news. Some of the Venture Company is still producing black blood weapons. To put an end to it, we head into Venturewood and the Heaps, hunting down Venture Company loyalist lieutenants and destroying crates of black blood to stop their supply chain. Meanwhile, Pamsy has her own project in motion. She sends us into the Heaps to gather parts for her hoverboard invention, a tool that might help shut down the black blood supply for good. With our objectives complete, Gazlo arrives with reinforcements.
Gallywix's black blood stockpile. Now for those enforcers. Let's find Gazlo and...
I hope you don't mind. I brought a few friends. Now, let's finish this.
The time for planning is over, and the goblins of Undermine are ready for revolution. With the final pieces in place, we rally the last of the goblins, and the rebellion begins. The first act of defiance, we pull down the statue of Gallywix outside the Galagio, sending a clear message: his reign is coming to an end.
No more Gallywix! Bring it down!
Then, our next major target, Nikki the Fixer. She's been a thorn in our side for too long. With the full force of the revolution behind us, we take on the leader of the Venture Company and bring her to an end. But just as the dust settles, Xal'atath herself appears to confront Gallywix.
That seems...
Xal'atath, you got here just in time. There.
Where is the Dark Heart?
What do you mean? I handed it over to your Ethereal pal.
You gave it to the Ethereals?
I didn't know. I swear. Hey, we can still fix this. Just help me stomp this rebellion.
You have outlived your usefulness. But I will enjoy watching them tear you apart.
I don't need you. I don't need anyone. You hear me? Each and every one of you upstarts is gonna pay in blood.
And with that comes a shocking revelation. The Ethereals who took the Dark Heart from Gallywix weren't working for Xal'atath at all. Caught off guard, Gallywix retreats into the Galagio, cornered for the first time. With the battle for Undermine reaching its climax, we head back to the Incontinental Hotel to regroup and plan the final assault on the Galagio. The revolution has begun, but Gallywix isn't done yet. With Gallywix in our sights and the revolution at its peak, the next step in our Goblin uprising is crystal clear. Raid the Galagio and take down Gallywix once and for all. With our forces assembled, we storm Gallywix's stronghold, pushing through his defences until we come face to face with the former Trade Prince himself. But, in true Gallywix fashion, he isn't going down without a fight. Climbing into his Chrome King suit, he turns the battlefield into a chaotic brawl of Goblin engineering and raw greed-fueled power. But even with all of his tricks, Gallywix is then finally defeated.
Worthless hunk of junk!
Hey, hold on!
It's not over till I say it's over. And I always win!
Look out!
Huh? Ah! Let's get out of here.
With his reign over Undermine at an end, we return to Noggenfogger in the Steamweedle Labs before regrouping at the Incontinental Hotel, where Gazlo and Matthias Shaw are waiting for us. However, before we can fully celebrate this victory, Shaw has something important to show us. he leads us through a portal to Westfall. Once in Westfall, Shaw reveals that Renzik used to visit the lighthouse with him, a place where he could find peace away from the chaos of Azeroth. It was here that Shaw and Renzik shared moments of quiet reflection, a stark contrast to the life of shadows and deception they both lived. To honour Renzik's memory, we collect some of his belongings from the lighthouse before returning to Undermine with his ashes. Back at the Incontinental Hotel, the Goblin cartels have gathered once more, but this time things are different. For the first time, they stand together, not under the tyranny of Gallywix, but as equals.
The truth is, I never thought that much of Undermine. The rough streets, the dirty dealings, the mob bosses squeezing everyone for their last copper coin. And while Gallywix is gone for good, that's not what's gonna change this city. It'll be the people who defy its reputation and stick around to fight for each other. That's what Renzik did. And that's what we all gotta do to build a new tomorrow for Undermine. So, let's get to work.
The War Within story picks back up in Dornegal, where Farin tells us that Danath Trollbane has received some troubling news. Tensions are rising between Stromgarde and Hammerfall, the two most prominent Alliance and Horde settlements in the Arathi Highlands, and Farin wants us to travel there with her to help manage the situation. Before we set off, here's a quick lore refresher on Danath Trollbane. Danath is a prominent figure in Warcraft's history, and that's the formal way to put it. If you were asking me what I thought of him after 5 pints of Thunderbrew Stout in the Pig and Whistle, I would say he's the real deal. He is a member of the Royal House of Trollbane and currently serves as the King of Stromgarde. He once led the Stromgarde military during the Second War and was one of the renowned Sons of Lothar, the Alliance forces who passed through the Dark Portal to fight the Orcish Horde beyond Azeroth. In more recent times, Danath joined the expedition to Khazalgar, but this is where things started to go wrong. In his absence, he left his unruly niece, Meryn Trollbane, in charge of Stromgarde as regent, and that is where our story begins today. When we arrive in the Highlands, Farin is amazed by the size and presence of Thoradin's Wall, a massive monument that represents the strength and history of the Arathi people. Danath, on the other hand, though, offers a more practical view of the wall. As he begins to explain his opinions on the wall, a scream echoes from the distance, and the group rushes off to investigate. Danath reveals that there have been reports of bandits moving through the Arathi Highlands, and then sends us to investigate the disturbance. Just a quick note, the story is going to be told from the Alliance perspective. I know the Horde experience slightly differs, but the main plot still remains the same. Speaking with a local, we learn there was something off about this attack. It was slightly unusual. Instead of stealing livestock, grain and valuables, the bandits took torches and barrels of tar. The villager believes they are planning to burn something and asks us to retrieve the stolen items. It's during this task that we get our first lead. The attackers in this particular incident are members of the Defias Brotherhood, and their presence in the Arathi Highlands is both unexpected and alarming. As the investigation continues, we come across Farin tending to a young girl who has been separated from her family. She asks us to locate them, and we set out to look for some more leads. While recovering the stolen supplies, we discover the girl's father, Marshal Wiltshire. He's hiding in his grain barn, and before slipping away, he reveals a key detail to us. The bandits are calling themselves the Red Dawn, and have even tried to recruit him, but for now, that's all we know. We then meet up with Danath and Faeryn outside the gates of Stromgarde. Danath explains that the recent attacks are disrupting supply lines into the city. The people of Stromgarde are hungry, angry, scared, and looking for someone to blame. Their frustration is beginning to turn toward the Horde forces stationed at Hammerfall. Across the other side of the Highlands, we find the Horde's major settlement, and in Hammerfall, tensions are just as high. To support Danath, we are sent into Stromgarde to help restore some order to the streets. Another quick lore refresher here, Stromgarde is a human city in the Arathi Highlands, built on the site of Strom, the original capital of the ancient Arathorian Empire, once the heart of humanity's first great kingdom on Azeroth. Stromgarde is now all that remains of the once mighty empire. Though smaller in scale and, more importantly, influence, it still stands as a strong human city in the Eastern Kingdoms. At the gates of the city, Captain Brewston informs us that the unrest is being fueled by Meryn Trollbane and her loyalists. Unbeknownst to Danath, Meryn is an idealist with a vision of reviving King Thoradin's legacy and re-establishing the ancient Empire of Arathor. Her goal is to reclaim the Arathi Highlands by force, beginning with a war against the Mag'har clans of Hammerfall. Captain Brewston also hands us a series of written orders to deliver to certain unruly citizens in Stromgarde. His hope is that a show of strength and direction will calm the city before things spiral out of control. One of our first stops is delivering a message to Joseph the Enlightened, a name that might not be familiar until you remember his former title, Joseph the Insane. Once a member of the Scarlet Crusade, Joseph turned against the Order when it spiraled into fanaticism and violence. Now reformed, he offers us an insight that reveals a deeper problem here.
What's this? Danath Trollbane's minions threatening me for speaking the truth? Is this justice? Is this righteous? I will comply for now. But a new dawn is approaching for all humanity. Be ready, my friends.
Stromgarde is in a dire state, with most of its troops and supplies sent to Khazalgar to support the fight against Xal'atath. The city has been left exposed, and the recent bandit attacks are only making it worse. We are then asked by Colonel Niles to attend an important meeting between Faeryn and Meryn Trollbane. Meryn's open defiance led to her arrest. She was imprisoned in an effort to calm the rising unrest across the city. Now it's time to confront her directly. However, weirdly, Danath is not present. Apparently, he's been called away to Hammerfall on urgent duty.
For Stromgarde, he would have introduced Meryn himself, but Gaara summoned him urgently to Hammerfall. Come with me.
Strange that Danath would leave without us, and want us to talk to his estranged niece.
During the meeting, Meryn makes her stance clear. She voices strong opposition to Danath's leadership and hints at a movement she calls the New Dawn.
We must bring our light to all of Azeroth. You are a prisoner. Why does Colonel Niles defer to you?
You should know. Names carry weight. Faeryn Lothar. Despite your elven blood, a great Arathi warrior returning gives us hope that those dissatisfied with Lord Danath Trollbane's rule, with our old Stromic ways forgotten, with famine, unrest, and orcs on our lands, and dwarves and elves in our cities, all will rise up and embrace a new dawn. And that when they do, I hope you'll be part of it, Faeryn.
I would like to see Stromgarde as it was.
After the exchange, we meet with Colonel Niles once again, and we are sent out into the Arathi Highlands in search of Danath and the location of Refuge Point. Out in the field, we catch up with Faeryn near a body just outside Refuge Point. Not far from her, we encounter a lone orc beside a wagon who confirms that the Horde is also dealing with the same bandit attacks, and that these are not isolated incidents. The orc, known as Karga, asks for our help. She wants us to strike back against the bandits and track down their leader inside Refuge Point. While we are there, she also requests we recover any useful supplies left in the settlement because Hammerfall is struggling just as much as Stromgarde. But right now, there is no clear answer as to who these attackers really are. Clues suggest it might be the Defias Brotherhood, possibly remnants of the Scarlet Crusade, or perhaps it's this mysterious new Red Dawn we keep hearing about. There is only one way to know for sure, and we head in to Refuge Point. Inside, as we complete Karga's tasks, we make a surprising discovery. Joseph the Enlightened is here, and he is the one leading the raids, under the name of the Red Dawn. Before we can stop him, he casts a protective bubble and vanishes using a Hearthstone. But something tells me we've not seen the last of him. When we return to camp, Farin drops a bombshell. Danath was never called to Hammerfall, which means someone back in Stromgarde is lying. Farin then begins connecting the dots. The Defias attack on Newstead Farm, the Scarlet Crusade raid on Refuge Point, two separate factions, but both pointing towards the same emerging force, the Red Dawn, and this all kind of points a finger back to Meryn. Realizing the stakes, Farin insists that Danath must be warned immediately. She asks us to meet her at the Horde outpost of Hammerfall, across the Highlands. But here we have a kind of plot hole situation. We know Danath isn't in Hammerfall, as Karga just confirmed, but we're going to look there anyway. I suppose we can't trust an orc that we've just met. But whatever is happening, it's no longer just about unrest. It's starting to look like there's a coordinated uprising. At the gates of Hammerfall, Eitrig informs us that Danath Trollbane is not in the Horde outpost after all. Concerned, he sends out Horde outriders to search the Highlands while we take a moment to rest and assist with the Arathi refugees now seeking shelter under Horde protection. After regrouping, Farin asks us to deliver the troubling news of Danath's disappearance to Gayara at Goshek Farm. When we arrive, Gayara is deeply worried. Tensions between the Alliance and the Orcs are rising, and each side is beginning to blame the other for their recent hardships. Finding Danath may be the only way to prevent full-scale conflict. In the meantime, the Orcs hope to show goodwill by taking a stand against the Witherbark Trolls. These trolls have been targeting Alliance settlements for a while, and joining the humans in defending against them could be a powerful gesture of trust. While at the farm, we are approached by a man named Barclay, a member of the Syndicate, a criminal organisation operating across the Hillsbrad foothills, Arathi Highlands, and of course the Alterac Mountains. Barclay claims to have information about Danath, but refuses to share it unless we help him first. His three brothers have been captured by the Witherbark, and he wants us to rescue them. And so, we head out to deal with the trolls. During the rescue, we try to question the brothers before setting them free. One of them, named Holt, is literally boiling in a pot and is, as you might expect, pretty quick to talk. He confirms to us what we've already started to suspect. The Red Dawn is an alliance of former Scarlet Crusaders and members of the Defias Brotherhood, now united under a new banner. We return to Gayara and Farin, and Barclay finally delivers his warning. The Syndicate is preparing to launch an attack on Hammerfall, acting under orders from the Red Dawn. With the Horde outriders still searching the Highlands for Danath, Hammerfall is exposed and vulnerable, so we rush back immediately. When we arrive though, we're too late. The Syndicate has already begun their assault. Gayara sends us to summon the town's shamans to help control the flames tearing through the town. Eitrig orders us to push back the Syndicate forces and rescue as many civilians as we can. At this time, Farin also has her own mission for us. Track down the leader of the assault, Joseph the Enlightened. We corner him in the main keep, but once again he casts his protective bubble and vanishes with a Hearthstone. These paladins. With the fires out, civilians saved and the town stabilised, we regroup with Farin, Gayara and Eitrig at the rear entrance to Hammerfall. There, one of the outriders finally returns, but they bring grim news. A Stromic caravan has been found ambushed in the Highlands. We set out to investigate the ambushed caravan, hoping it might offer some clue about Danath Trollbane's whereabouts. When we arrive, the scene is devastating. The entire escort has been wiped out with brutal efficiency. At first glance, the attack appears to have been carried out with orcish weaponry. As we search the site for answers, a clearer picture begins to form. The ambush was swift and precise, likely to be the work of trained fighters, but something here feels off. Among the wreckage, we find a strange emblem, one linked to the Red Dawn. It quickly becomes clear that the Red Dawn is trying to frame the orcs. They have planted weapons from Argarok at the scene, likely to provoke a reaction. If Stromgarde's forces discover this, it could spark a full-scale conflict between the Alliance and the Horde. So at this moment, preventing war becomes top priority. The Alliance Riders return to Stromgarde to inform Colonel Niles of the Red Dawn's deception and urge her to deploy resources to find Danath Trollbane. At the same time, the Horde moves toward Argarok to investigate whether Danath is being held there. Tensions are high, and time is running out. When the Alliance arrive back in Stromgarde, everything becomes apparent to us. It was all a setup, and we've been betrayed.
Baron, to rescue the Lord of Stromgarde? I thought you were in charge here. I think we can drop the charade now, Veronica.
You're behind this. The Red Dawn? Danath's disappearance.
Yes. And now that my uncle is gone, I'm free to do what I wish. Footman!
Stop this madness! You're all Arathi!
And I thought you were once. Now you'll suffer for not joining our cause.
We're overpowered and thrown into the barracks prison, and Farin is taken off somewhere else. Fortunately, not everyone is compromised though. Captain Brewston, still loyal to Stromgarde, helps us escape from prison. Once free, we fight our way through the Red Dawn forces now swarming the streets of Stromgarde. Chaos reigns as Merin's loyalists clash with those still devoted to Danath Trollbane. As we navigate through the war-torn city, we gather documents and clues, pieces of a larger puzzle that will reveal the truth behind the Red Dawn. We eventually find Farin Lothar imprisoned in the Mage Tower and free her. With the last of the evidence we need in hand, we return to Brewston at the gates. Everything we've uncovered confirms it. The Red Dawn is a coalition of former Scarlet Crusaders and Defias Brotherhood members, all under the command of Merin Trollbane. With the truth exposed, it's time to end the uprising. We confront Joseph the Enlightened one final time. He tries to bubble and escape once again, but this time he's dispelled and we finally bring him down.
The Scarlet Crusader!
Come on, let's find Danath and Eitrig. Stop this! Danath fought to save all of Azeroth.
He sold us out so the Alliance and Horde could wage war in Khazalgar. You'll never understand. For Arathor! The Red Dawn will rise again.
No! Do not make her a martyr. Our history will read. Farin, true daughter of the Arathi, allowed Merin to live without her title and name. The Red Dawn vanished from the Highlands forever.
This is not over.
With the battle won and Stromgarde secured, peace returns to the streets, at least for now. Danath Trollbane meets us for a final word, but by the way I have no idea where Danath has come from, being kind of missing for this entire part of the campaign. Anyway, he thanks us for our efforts and presents us with a Stromgarde tabard in recognition of our service. Then our final task is to track down Farin, who quietly left the city after the dust settled. We find her out in the Highlands, and with a few final words between the two of them, the saga of the Red Dawn in the Arathi Highlands comes to a close.
You look to the past, but you are our future, and I am glad of that.
Perhaps the new dawn is not what Merin wanted, but us, returning here for our people.
I hope you are right.
The opening scene of The Ghosts of Koresh shows us a vision experienced by Locust Walker. He witnesses ethereal forces inside a mana forge carrying out some form of ritual. Using the repaired Dark Heart and its unstable energy, they were attempting to summon Dimensius The All-Devouring.
Lord Dimensius, come feast upon this universe. Let your darkness reign forevermore.
Dimensius is one of the Void Lords, monstrous entities of pure shadow who rule over the void itself. He is the very being responsible for the destruction of the ethereal homeworld of Koresh. With the quite fitting title of the All-Devouring, his arrival would mean nothing less than annihilation for our planet. Concerned by the possibility of the Void Lord's return, Locust Walker arrives in Dornegal to share his vision with Ilaria, Khadgar, and the champions of Azeroth. He pleads with us to put the hunt for Xal'atath aside and aid him in stopping the forces working to summon Dimensius into our universe. Tasked with defending what remains of his shattered home planet, Locust Walker asks us to travel with him into the Great Dark Beyond to a place called Tazavesh, the ethereal and broken city that's now drifting on the edge of Koresh's fractured remnants. As heroes of Azeroth, we accept his call, and together with Ilaria, we set off for Tazavesh. When we arrive in the city, Locust Walker begins revealing some unsettling truths. He explains that when the champions of Azeroth faced Dimensius the All-Devouring during the Burning Crusade, the Void Lord was not destroyed. Instead, he was shattered and dispersed. Since then, a faction of ethereal loyalists known as the Shadow Guard have roamed the universe, hunting down those fragments of Dimensius in an effort to restore him. Locust Walker does admit that this information is coming from a new ally, though for now he withholds their name. Soon after, we are welcomed by Ohm-N, who greets us in Tazavesh but warns us that the city itself is under siege. He asks for our aid in reinforcing the city's defences and assisting the brokers. Before we set off, he introduces us to the Koresh Trust, a coalition of broker cartels and ethereals who have taken control of Tazavesh. The city now serves as both a supply hub and a recreation centre for the revitalised Eco-Dome project, an effort to preserve the remnants of their natural way of life. But these domes are under attack, not just from the Shadow Guard, but also from the barbaric Wastelanders, another sub-faction of ethereals. The broker cartel known as Zoe are tasked with defending broker settlements, and they are currently struggling to maintain control over the city. To help, the Trust grants us full access to the city and its surrounding projects. Our first task includes recapturing creatures that have escaped their translocation cages, putting down dangerous arcane constructs, sealing a destabilized artifact that is wreaking havoc in the broker projects, and retrieving stolen barrier projectors, devices used to secure and stabilize the wild zones of Koresh. When we return to Ohm-N, he confirms our suspicions. The Shadow Guard, of course, are the ones behind these disruptions. Locust Walker tasks us with uncovering what lurks in the shadows and confronting the threats spreading through the city. He begins to share truths that we were never meant to hear. He explains that during the Koreshi War against Dimensius, the people of Koresh were not united. They were torn apart by civil conflict. Locust Walker himself belonged to a faction known as the Ravel, a coalition of great Koreshi minds who sought out unorthodox solutions to the Dimensius crisis. Standing against them was King Salhadar, who rallied his people under the promise of saving their world, but his cause was a lie. The king had secretly sworn an oath to Dimensius himself. This revelation reframes everything we thought we knew. The so-called hunt for Dimensius across Outland had been little more than a ploy, orchestrated to radicalize the Ethereum and drive them to seek out fragments of the Void Lord for later conscription. Even after King Salhadar's defeat, those who had pledged themselves to Dimensius endured, and the Shadow Guard grew stronger. It's here that Locust Walker pretty much sets the stage for the campaign that's about to unfold. To put an end to this scheme, we have to strike at the Shadow Guard's mana forge before they can restore Dimensius the All-Devouring.
If Dimensius should emerge fully formed, I know of nothing on this world capable of stopping him.
Following a trail of void energy in Tazavesh, we uncover a hidden chamber filled with Shadow Guard infiltrators. A brief skirmish between them and their ringleader quickly escalates into a full-scale invasion. Shadow Guard forces pour into the city, and we're sent into the streets to repel them. With the defenses stabilized, Locust Walker locates the leader of the invasion, Shadow Lord Alzar, and sends us to confront him. After a hard-fought battle, we bring down the Shadow Lord and cut off the assault at its head. After that, we regroup with Locust Walker and Ilaria, and it's here that the mysterious ally he has been speaking of is finally revealed.
But Ilaria, we've already met.
No! We need her!
I see you haven't changed at all. You have joined forces with her. Have you lost your mind?
We are desperate. If Dimensius is revived, then all worlds will be devoured.
You broke my dark heart, Illyria. Without it, I cannot prevent Dimensius's return. At least, not on my own.
This is madness. We cannot trust her.
I'm not asking you to trust her. I'm asking you to trust me.
In a shocking turn, we learn that we will be working alongside Xal'atath herself, united by a shared goal, preventing the return of Dimensius. And then we meet the unlikely trio at the edge of the city. Together we gaze upon the remnants of the Koreshi homeworld, broken fragments adrift in the void, with only traces of life clinging to its surface. From here, we are dispatched to overlook Zoshul, a small settlement on one of those fragments, where Locust Walker's scouts have discovered what may be the entrance to the Shadow Guard's stronghold, Manaforge Omega. When we get there, it quickly sinks in just how big of a problem we're dealing with here. Locust Walker sends us to check on his scouts, but things go bad pretty fast. One of them has already been twisted into a Shadow Guard. Shaken by this, Locust Walker admits that for now, maybe only the 4 of us can be trusted. Maybe. He explains that Xal'atath can perform rituals with ancient relics known as the Rishi Ribbons.
Rishi Ribbons?
Relics from old Koresh that were used by the Ravel, as dangerous as they are powerful.
So powerful that I betrayed the All-Devouring. I thought the ribbons would deliver me from his service.
Koreshi relics that act as conduits for massive amounts of power. Without their protection, no mortal could even go close to the Manaforge, let alone face Dimensius. And that's because of the sheer energy he gives off would tear us mortals apart. To prove the point, Xal'atath transforms us, literally changing our bodies from flesh into pure energy, and then sends us into the untethered space to search for a way into the Manaforge. Against all odds, we do make it back to Locust Walker alive, but one ribbon isn't going to be enough for an extended assault. If we're going to stand a chance against the Shadow Guard and Dimensius, we need more ribbons. We are then sent to Ecodome Primus, where we meet its founder, Venari, another former member of the Ravel. She tells us that the ribbon she has is the only thing keeping their dome stable. If it's removed, the whole system could collapse. On top of that, the attacking Shadow Guard have sabotaged the control consoles, and the dome is already hanging on by a thread. So we jump in to help. First, we back up her chief engineer, Ohm Loof, helping to stabilize the dome's energy systems. Then, Venari has us gather damage reports from her consultants, bring control consoles back online, cut down Shadow Guard in the area, and set up Xal'atath's wards to help keep the dome safe. But the real fight comes in the serrated peaks just outside the dome. There, the Shadow Guard have built a camp, and we're tasked with tearing it down, destroying their siege cannons, breaking their siphon barrier, and taking out their commander, Shadow Captain Lachish. After that small battle, Xal'atath drops a bombshell to us. Dimensius didn't actually destroy Koresh. It was the Ravel instead, and it was Locust Walker's own order. They were the ones who brought down their world in a desperate sacrificial attempt to kill the Void Lord. With that truth hanging in the air, we rush back to confront Locust Walker.
Xal'atath claims the Ravel destroyed Koresh. Is she lying, or are you?
Windrunner. The Ravel knew our world would be devoured. The Harbinger promised a means to spare us. There was no saving our world. Why not use it as a weapon?
You doomed your people. At her behest?
There would be far less regret had it been successful.
It was our only way to survive. You have to trust me.
I have no more trust to give you. Any of you.
Venari reluctantly hands over her Rishi ribbon to help our cause. But after doing so, she does warn us that it still won't be enough. We need more ribbons. Locust Walker makes the next call. Our next stop is Ecodome Rovan, where another former member of the Ravel may hold the next ribbon we need. When we get into Ecodome Rovan, it's already too late. The place has been completely wiped out by a meteor, and Umbera is nowhere to be found. We head into the desert to track her down and fight off the creatures swarming in the ruins. Sadly though, when we find her, she's already dead. Her Rishi ribbon has been stolen, and a dagger has been jammed through her body. Xal'atath points out that the weapon is a Tabika ritual dagger, once used by the old oracles of Koresh. Locust Walker tells us that the oracles eventually became the Wastelanders, sworn enemies of the Ravel. Before we move on, we're sent to recover Umbera's stolen research crates. The life's work she has now left behind. We raid a nearby Wastelander camp, grab the crates and bring them back. But it's clear now that the Wastelanders are a much bigger threat than we realised. Worried about both his own safety and the Rishi ribbon he's carrying, Locust Walker decides it's best that he retreats back to Tazavesh, leaving us out here with Xal'atath for company. She doesn't waste any time though. On the far side of the fragmented remnant of the planet, she lays out her plan. She wants to try and pull the Wastelanders onto our side. To start this, she sends us into the Tempest Fields to collect Void Cleft essences and slay some of the Void creatures in the area to prove our strength. Then, after that, we head to the Wastelander camp, where we summon a Void Beast and then take it down right in front of them, basically creating a problem, solving it, and then expecting loyalty in return. I mean, that's a pretty Xal'atath thing to do. The Wastelanders seem willing to talk, but their leader, Soulscribe, makes it clear we'll have to prove ourselves first. Before we head out, we catch part of a conversation between Soulscribe and Xal'atath, and it's a big one.
We know you serve the Ravel, intruder. And we swore to King Salhadar that we would slay all of their minions. Then it's fortunate he's dead. That voice! The Harbinger! There's no need for that. Not when we seek to end Dimensius for good. Though, we will require the Rishi ribbons you took from the Ravel corpses. No! They used those accursed ribbons to destroy our world! We were powerless to stop them, but we will fulfill our oath to kill them! And your failure will yet remain. This broken world is not yet finished, but it will be if the All-Devouring returns. Help me annihilate Dimensius. The Ravel can always come next. We will hear you out. For now.
Xal'atath hints that the world soul of Koresh might still exist, and it can be contacted again. After proving ourselves across the desert, Soulscribe agrees to join forces with us, but even then, she still refuses to hand over her Rishi ribbon. But this is still all part of Xal'atath's plan. If Soulscribe can see proof that the world soul still lingers, she'll do anything to save it, even give up her ribbon, and Xal'atath can see it. To prove to Soul Scribe that the world soul of Koresh still exists, we travel to the Oasis, the place where we have the best chance of connecting with the world soul. Before the ritual can begin, we have to clear out void corruption and gather supplies to restore the site. Once the area is ready, Soul Scribe then starts to perform the ancient Tabika ritual that her people once used to commune with the world soul of Koresh. And it works.
Koresh is... I sense nothing! You lied! There is no world soul here!
Eons of wandering have starved your once great power, Oracle.
Traitor! Oathbreaker!
The world soul is as weak as you are. You need more power to commune. Feast! Touch the fading heart of your world!
I heard Koresh. By my unbroken oath, the oracles of the wastes will be your army, Harbinger. We fight to restore Koresh.
The ritual, with the help of Xal'atath, is a success. And afterwards, Xal'atath then rewards us with something huge. With the cloak, we'll finally be able to survive Dimensius' energy and make our way into the unstable, untethered space around Manaforge Omega. Soul Scribe tells us that her scouts have located our allies deep in Shadowguard territory and asks us to meet her at Shandora to regroup. When we arrive, we find the Void Elves already fighting off a Shadowguard camp, and we quickly link up with Ilaria and Locust Walker. As expected, there's tensions between the groups, but despite the hostility, everyone knows the bigger picture here: stopping Dimensius. Ilaria sends us to check on one of her Rift Walkers injured nearby, while Soul Scribe gives us another task. She explains that during the old wars of the Devouring, her people buried hidden weapon caches in the sands. In case a crisis like this ever happened again, she asks us to head into the Shattered Gorge and recover them for the fight. After gathering the weapons, we regroup with this uneasy alliance, and it's there they tell us that scouts have sent word of the Shadowguard at Shadow Point holding a Rishi ribbon. If that's true, it has to be ours. Being the champions of Azeroth, we storm Shadow Point, confronting Shadowguard forces head-on, fighting through their war machines and tearing them down. From there, we push deeper into their stronghold, rescuing captured Wastelanders, wiping out Shadowguard forces, and disabling their power pylons. Once the foothold is broken, we rally outside another Manaforge. Locust Walker asks us to help disable Shadowpoint Torment, one of the Shadowguard's main engines. After shutting that Shadowpoint down, Ilaria directs us towards the final one, and it's here we confront the Ethereal that's responsible for stealing the Dark Heart from Gallywix back in Undermine, Nexus Prince Azir. We battle the Nexus Prince in an intense showdown, but manage to bring him down. But before we can even breathe, there's another twist.
Saladar survived?
Oracles of Koresh! You dare defy your king! You dare break your oath!
King Saladar! You died, and our oath died with you.
No. With Dimensius as my master, I have been remade in the void. Your oath to me still stands. Honor it now, and slay the rabble as you swore to do.
How could we fight for you? You serve the All-Devouring.
And by sacred oath, so do all of you. Obey, die as Oathbreakers.
Oracles, Wastelanders, we have no choice. Kill the rabble and their followers. Fulfill your oath.
Thought to be dead, the former leader of the Koresh has returned as a servant of Dimensius and has arrived to remind the Wastelanders of an ancient oath their people swore. As chaos erupts, Alleria cuts down the advancing Wastelander forces while we secure Azir's Rishi ribbon. Despite this betrayal though, we now have what we came for. With the final Rishi ribbon in hand, we turn it over to Xal'atath, bringing us one step closer to confronting the All-Devouring. Xal'atath gathers up all of the Rishi ribbons and performs the ritual, giving us the ability to phase shift and finally enter Manaforge Omega.
I will fulfill my word.
I can't. It's madness to trust her with this power.
Dimensius is almost upon us. How many more worlds must be destroyed?
Time grows short. Bind your ribbon or use it to destroy me, as it once destroyed Koresh. Choose, Alleria.
Alleria, please.
We fight our way through the Manaforge until we reach the seat of the Devourer and face the Void Lord himself. At first, the battle is straightforward, but Dimensius pulls us into an event horizon, the shattered remnants of a dead world drifting in the void. There we're forced to take down two of his devoured lieutenants before confronting him again in the very heart of the Dark Heart relic. After a long fight, at last, Dimensius is defeated and contained within the Dark Heart. But as the dust settles, Xal'atath stays behind, seemingly trapping herself within the artifact alongside him.
We did it. Dimensius is gone.
Not gone, but contained within the Dark Heart.
As is Xal'atath. A fitting end for her. No. Wait!
You... What did you do? I kept my promise. Together, we vanquished Dimensius. And I now have all I need to claim what is mine. Oh, this has been a delight, Alleria. But our little game is over.
Xal'atath slips away into the void once again. Shaken by these events, Alleria tells us she needs time to process what's just happened in Manaforge Omega and sends us back to Koresh. But we don't leave empty-handed. From what remains of Dimensius, the champions recovered a dimmed crystal, vibrating with strange energy and whispering faint songs into our minds. When we finally meet up with Venari, the truth comes out. The crystal we have holds the world soul of Koresh, fragile but still alive. To preserve it, she explains we need to take it to Ecodome Aldani, a hidden sanctuary with a sacred connection to the fractured planet. But there lies a problem. Soulscribe, the Wastelander leader who betrayed us when Xal'atath had returned, is already attacking the dome. Venari gives us one final mission: retake Ecodome Aldani, stop Soulscribe, and save Koresh's dwindling world soul. We launch a swift, brutal assault and confront Soulscribe in the heart of the dome.
I will die with honor. I will die oathbound.
Be quiet. No more posturing. Before you fought for the Nexus King, you were an oracle of Koresh. Which oath takes precedence?
Koresh.
Here he is, fading a near extinction, but he can still be saved.
The exchange. A soul will pass through Koresh and emerge reborn, unburdened. And Koresh will be strengthened. My life for Koresh.
Petals and pollen, Koresh is reborn in you.
From here, the story leaves us with our own choice. Return to Azeroth and go about our daily lives, or stay and help the brokers continue their mission to preserve what's left of Koresh. But even as Koresh begins its rebirth, a darker truth still hangs in the void. Xal'atath is out there, and she's free, and her gaze is set on Azeroth. When we arrive back in Donegal, we're met by a member of the Silver Hand who brings us urgent news. Arathor and Verisa Windrunner have gone ahead to the Isle of Dorn. They've travelled here to be close to the Coreway, hoping that this might help them understand the strange visions Verisa has been suffering from. Quick lore stop here: Arathor Windrunner is the son of Alaria and Turelian. Raised without either parent for most of his life as they were off fighting the Legion, Verisa Windrunner is the youngest of the Windrunner sisters, once a proud ranger of Quel'Thalas, later one of the strongest voices for the Alliance. And now in present day, she is the last Windrunner sister to exist without a burden. Verisa's visions have been growing more and more violent every time she sees them, and what she sees is pretty disturbing. Quel'Thalas under siege, her people screaming, her family screaming, everything she loves being destroyed under the weight of an overwhelming attack. And as she is telling us, here on the Isle of Dorn, those visions become a reality as Voidbringers tear open the skies around us and launch an assault on the two Windrunners. As we fight through these attackers, Arathor starts to piece it together. These void entities resemble the Twilight's hammer, twisted, fanatical, and now seemingly repurposed through the void. If that's true, then they have found a new master, Xal'atath. When the leader of the Voidbringers falls, we return to Verisa. She's shaken by what's just happened, but now she is more certain than ever that her visions aren't just symbolic anymore, they are warnings. Still unsure about what they are dealing with, Arathor decides that there is only one person left who might be able to help them understand what's coming, and that of course is his mother. Elaria. Arathor then uses a scroll from Khadgar to open a portal to Tazavesh on Koresh, the place he thinks he will be able to find his mother after the clash with Xal'atath. Before we all step through, Arathor and Verisa discuss the question neither of them really want to say out loud. What if Elaria refuses to return? And what about the other sister, the one that is condemned to the moor? With no simple answers left, we take the portal to Koresh. When we arrive in Tazavesh, we begin searching the city for Elaria. She is not in the city at all, but she is out on the fractured remnants of Koresh itself. We soon find her, and then she gives us the answer we were expecting. She cannot return home to Silvermoon. She's still officially exiled from Quel'Thalas, banished from ever setting foot near the Sunwell itself because of her bond with the Void. Elaria tells her son that she needs to remain in the Great Dark Beyond, tracking Xal'atath and her loyalists wherever they go. She simply cannot risk going anywhere near the Sunwell. So, with the answer we needed, I'm sure we can now leave, but Elaria isn't done with us yet. As we are out there, she enlists us on a reconnaissance mission, explaining that she's been trying to uncover what Salhadar and Xal'atath are planning by spying on one of their Shadow Lords. Her current target is a Shadow Lord named Vasheen. After eavesdropping on him, she discovers where he's going and then sends us to the Oasis to convince Venari to craft a cage strong enough to hold him. To get the cage, we're going to need to work for it, so she sends us across the shattered pieces of Koresh to reclaim Koreshi relics and artifacts stolen by her enemies, the Wastelanders. Once we've done her errands, we then return to Elaria with the cage. From there, our task is simple. Weaken the Shadow Lord Vasheen in combat, then use a portation tag from Venari to teleport him straight into the cage. After doing that, we now have the Shadow Lord trapped. We then help Elaria set up her Void ritual so she can rip the information she needs from his mind. Soon enough, she manages to pull visions of the devouring host straight from the Shadow Lord's thoughts, moments before she slays him. The devouring host is the Void army under Xal'atath's command, a force built for one purpose and one purpose only: consume everything that stands between Xal'atath and the power she is after. And with that, Elaria has nothing more to give us or Arathor. She refuses to return home to defend Quel'Thalas, so our next and only option is to seek out the third and final Windrunner sister, Sylvanas. Leaving Elaria behind on the ruins of Koresh, we head back to Tazavesh. There, Venari uses the power of the city to open a portal straight into the moor. And in what really does feel like a Harry Potter jump into the fireplace moment, we step forward into the moor. When we arrive in the moor, it's immediately clear that the devouring host has followed us to the plane of torment. Void creatures are spilling across the moor, and Arathor quickly urges us to cut down as many of them as we can, whilst also using his holy symbol to cleanse any void-warped souls we find out there. After that, we regroup with Arathor, and it's then that we notice something strange. A faint sound of music drifting through the moor. It almost resembles someone playing the harp. Arathor suggests that we need to follow the melody, hoping it will guide us to what we are searching for. As we move deeper into the moor, we fall into a kind of ethereal current where lost souls are drifting towards their final destination. We follow the flow until we finally find her, Sylvanas Windrunner. She's pretty stunned to see Arathor standing before her, but after a brief and tense moment of family reunion, Arathor gets straight to the point. He asks Sylvanas for her help.
A man grown, but still a child at heart. This is no place for such sentiment, Arathor. But neither is it a place for the Void. Let's put Lordamar's vaunted training to the test.
Before she gives us anything, she turns the question back on us, wanting our aid dealing with the Void forces overrunning the moor. So we agree and we head to the Tramaculum, a place where she wants us to thin the ranks of the devouring host. At the same time, Arathor asks us to collapse several unstable Void rifts scattered across the moor, making sure no more Void entities can slip through them. Once that's done, our final task is to then take down the devouring host's local commander in the moor, a being known as the Living Gateway. After defeating that, we then regroup with Sylvanas. It's here that she reveals something pretty unsettling. The work she is doing out in the moor isn't about eternal torment, it's about guiding these souls onward.
You misunderstand. I do not grant them peace. I merely offer them a way forward.
According to Sylvanas, this isn't where souls are meant to remain. She then reveals something even more shocking.
Familiar. I agree. I have seen past the veil of true death, Arathor. There is more to the Shadowlands than it seems.
Suggesting that the Shadowlands may not be the final destination for mortal souls. It's too ordered there, it's too familiar. She clarifies she isn't granting these souls rest. She's helping them move on to somewhere beyond the Shadowlands. She then asks us to gather a few materials from across the moor so she can show us what she means. Once we then return with the gathered materials, Sylvanas shows us the ritual of sending. Watching his aunt work changes something in Arathor. He gains a sense of peace, feeling like his aunt is really trying to atone for her past sins. She's helping lost souls find their way forward, instead of leaving them trapped in eternal torment. Before we depart the moor, Sylvanas then tells us that it's not the right time for her to return to Azeroth.
Arathor is correct about one thing. I am a Windrunner. And I have not forgotten where I came from. But as I told him, now is not the time for me to return to the world of the living. I cannot stop now. I must not stop now.
Back in Tazavesh, we find Ilaria and Arathor discussing what Sylvanas revealed to them. Ilaria then confirms that Arathor will return home to defend Silvermoon without her or Sylvanas. We then return to Dornogal to meet with Varisa. It's there that Arathor explains that neither of her sisters are willing to return to Azeroth to defend Quel'Thalas. Meanwhile, back on Koresh, Ilaria follows an Ethereal through a void portal straight into the presence of Xal'atath.
In service. Please.
Oh, you will serve me. I went to a lot of trouble imbuing this bauble with untold power. Now yours shall be added. For 100,000 years, I have planned for this moment. Let the way be opened to my prize.
We watch Xal'atath absorb the Ethereal's essence into the Dark Heart, the final piece of energy that she needed. With that power claimed, she performs a ritual and tears open the Void Storm, the staging ground for the Void's assault on Quel'Thalas. And there we go, that is it. The final piece of the puzzle, and the war within comes to an end. With everything we've seen here, the stage is now set for the opening of midnight. The Void is coming for Quel'Thalas.